Welcome back to The Watch. Oh, it's an important stream and event, this one. Rings of Power, Episode 2.
Episode 2!
Episode 2!
Episode 2!
Episode 2!
It was just as bad as... It was worse than the first one.
It was worse.
Oh my goodness. 2 hours in and they haven't sold me at all.
So I am like OCD. We need to center it. We're not centered.
We're not centered?
You need to go that way.
This way, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
This is what happens when we're live. We gotta do the thing. Okay, chat. How are you? I have you here. Hope you can all hear us well. Let us know everything is good. We're a two-man team today. We're running a little thin, but we're bringing you the content, and so. Look, we'll do our best. Hopefully, we won't be attacked by too many bots. But let's just dive into it, okay?
It's okay, I got it up.
Okay, good.
Chat, you let me know, and I will murder the bots.
All right. Rings of Power Episode 2. Wow. All right, so I've been listening, seeing what people are saying online about it from either end, and a lot of people are saying that Episode 2 is better than Episode 1. I can see why they say that, okay? Because I think more does happen, and very little happens in the first episode.
Okay,
right?
yeah, I can see that.
But on a technical level, when you look at it with a critical eye, wow, the problems in this episode. Remember how last episode 1 I had, 5 pages?
Yeah.
Now I have 6. I have 6 full pages of notes with all the problems, and these are like small font, large borders to just fit it all
my
on.
border's thicker, and you got more pages.
Gosh.
My goodness.
There are so many problems with this episode. And comparing it to the first episode, right, when I say writing, like the actual sentence structure, like the word play was not as... It was bad, not as bad.
Not as bad, no.
I was like having an aneurysm in episode 1 just on how horrible the analogies were, the dialogue, the exchanges.
It was terrible, but I had such fun tearing it down.
Dessert.
And so I had less fun with this one because there wasn't as much to make fun of in the dialogue. There were still things. But yeah, I agree. The first one, in terms of dialogue, was atrocious. This one, though... We go places still.
Boy, there's so much bad. And what's bad about this is actually like the consistency, the setup, the reasoning, and so, wow, right? And on top of that, if I was to say, like, what are some of the biggest episode-breaking moments of Episode 1, it's definitely, like, the end when Galadriel decides to commit suicide. Yeah. In this episode, I would count, in terms of the biggest issues, there's three massive, like, episode-breaking either contradictions, problems, things that just do not make sense at all, and that's just the big ones. Then there are all these other issues and problems just all throughout this episode. And so, yeah, and the other reason why I think people might like Episode 2 better is because I think there's something that could have been done, like the resurging of a dark, evil. The orcs are, sneakily attacking everything. I think people would get more drawn into that kind of narrative than what the narrative that was presented in Episode 1, where it's just like, Galadriel, you're trying to find the evil, but no one's believing you, and it's so obvious that you're right, and the just artificial conflict, and then the half-foots, no, they're not half-foots, they're hobbits, because half-foots are hobbits, they're one and the same. Don't give them that, acknowledgement. These are hobbits. That whole hobbit thing was just...
through and through, they are hobbits. With all the foot puns and their jovialness, there is no transition to half-foots and hobbits. They are the same people.
It's even like there's a thing that Tolkien wrote down that there are 3 types of hobbits, and it's like only this half-foots. Nerd Cookies shared this in one of her videos. Shout out to Nerd Cookies. That Tolkien literally called half-foots hobbits. They are hobbits, right? And so. Okay, so, yeah, I could see why, in comparison, people might be drawn into this episode more and find it more interesting. But as I mentioned, on a technical level, there's actually far more problems. Big ones. And so I would give this maybe a 2 out of 10. And that might be generous after we go through everything.
Yeah, I'm not sure my review yet. there's a few things I like we've got to talk about, because I don't know if I'm being too critical of something or if really I'm not seeing the bigger issue.
Well, let's dive right in. Okay, so this is the non-spoiler section. But if I was to say any other non-spoiler things, are kind of general observations of the episode. There's some of it is still pretty.
I found it less pretty than the first one.
Did you?
The first one had more like landscape shots. Maybe I just got sick of seeing green landscapes now.
Maybe.
But yeah, you're right. And we can talk about the dwarves, I guess, as well. They make an appearance.
Like, if you're trying to say the best part of the episode, it is the dwarves. But a lot doesn't make sense with the dwarves still.
No.
We're scratching the bottom of the barrel here. Galadriel is not only as unlikable as ever, she's probably more unlikable with the bullcrap that she's so condescending and just up herself. And she, there's a moment she literally criticizes someone for something that she did as well. She did the exact same thing. Did you I couldn't believe, you condescending cow! You did the same thing! And you dare to try and call him out on it! Oh, she's awful. She is so awful. And it's just the discount Gandalf thing was just confusing.
It was boring too. Nothing happened. This is okay. There were a few things that they tried to set up, and they had some mysteries and questions. But by the end, nothing had happened. Still, that was my biggest criticism. Okay, over 2 hours now, and nothing has really happened. We've had a meteorite fall down in the first episode. Some orcs have appeared. 2 hours. 2 hours in Peter Jackson, we would have had a full movie.
Galadriel left, but then came back to just go on the same quest that she was doing at the beginning of episode 1.
Yeah.
But now she's going to find people who will help her out, obviously. That's the lead-in at the end of the episode. But, alright, so yeah. This is incredibly incompetent storytelling. Okay? And if you'd think, we're not hating on it for hating it, right? I would have loved a good show. And in fact, we're getting a good show, House of Dragons. Go look at my House of Dragons review. It's actually, I enjoyed episode 3 the most, all right? I had I had a lot of misgivings going into it because of what they were doing with it, but I don't let that affect my judgment. And it was good. It is good. It's so much better than this crap, okay? And going into this, I'll put my bias aside, judge it on its own merits, and it is garbage. This is absolute crap, okay? Doesn't matter how much they try and polish it with the visuals. You could put a bow on a turd, and it's still a turd. All right, so spoilers now, going into specifics. And we will start chronologically. And how about we bring up the screen? And so we'll actually have rings of Power episode 2 here. So we get the intro sequence, and I guess, I think the intro sequence is the only thing I could say I actually liked.
Really?
You didn't like it? What did you think?
It's sand.
Yeah.
Making pictures.
There's symbology here. I think what they're trying to do, this sounds like the song that the god sung in creating Middle-earth. And you see a different resonance or sound intruding in on that song. I think that's symbology of Morgoth, because Morgoth started to sing his own tune and subvert the creation and things. And I think that's a symbolic thing of what they're doing here. But it's the intro sequence.
Yeah, I mean, people who do these are really, really skilled. They know the story, and they have great symbology. They always Wheel of Time had that with the weaving. Game of Thrones always has it with the maps and whatever.
But I want people to think about that. The thing that I could praise most about the show is the intro sequence.
Where no one talks or says anything. And it just symbolizes what people's cultures,
and it's actually
races.
It's a reference to something that they have no rights to. Because they don't have rights to Silmarillion, the creation of Middle-earth. It's all
I'm confused though, right? Because people say they don't have the rights to that. Someone's saying they don't have rights to parts of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I'm confused what they have the rights to.
The appendices.
That's it.
Yeah. Let me grab my Lord of the Rings. There should be the appendices.
They just have the appendices.
So this is a trilogy leatherbound of Lord of the Rings. Of course, I have it, and
because I've been really confused about what they are actually able to use.
This, I don't think this actually has the appendices in it. Maybe in my other copy. But anyway, I won't dwell too much on that. Yeah, second age stuff, basically. And it's not saying explicitly, this is all symbolic. So I think, and of course they can reference events that happened in the past, but in context of the characters, but they're very hamstrung. Okay, so the episode now begins with Galadriel in the middle of an ocean after deciding to commit suicide. So what is she going to do, Nathan? What were you thinking she would do in this?
I was just confused about elves' abilities. I'm like, do they get tired? Do they get hungry? Do they thirst? Because I get they can live forever, basically, but do they still need to have bodily functioning?
Gosh, it's so dark. I think we can raise the brightness through the thing.
Through this?
Yeah, through this.
I think so.
Yeah. If we bring it down, Nathan will fiddle with it and try. Because look, you can't see a thing, and that's one of the. There's a couple of times when it's so dark that it's like, what's going on? And so I think if you go to video settings and play around with there. Okay, so she's floating in the middle of the ocean, right? This is like. It's so dumb what she did, but there might have been a couple of ways you could try and save this. For instance, was she still on the fence and she wasn't sure if she was going to go through with it, so she organised another boat to follow behind, just in case. So she has an easy way to kind of get back. It's like, oh, that could work. What if she did have, like, elf magic of some kind? Could that work?
Really good endurance? That's
really
what I
good
thought.
Endurance. But, no, it doesn't, like, instead, ironically, she's floating in the middle of an ocean, and she just starts swimming back. This is her. She's like, I'm off. I'm gone. And in response to what you were saying just before, Nathan, about do elves have better endurance and stuff? To a level, I think so. Elves are basically semi-superhumans, or they're not humans, but they're super beings, and they have certain qualities, but I wouldn't think that would be enough to swim across an ocean! Because here's the context as well. We get given a pretty, I guess, accurate geographical location.
Yeah.
She was just about to arrive at the Undying Lands.
Yeah, which is what, at the corner of the world, basically?
It's across a full-on ocean, right? This is like, I don't know, travelling from Europe to the US.
That would take, what, months of travelling?
Yeah, the east coast of the US across, like...
with your body!
Yes!
Submerged in water!
And like, it's fine, I'll just swim back.
Nah, she should be dead. She should have died.
Yeah. Have we failed in trying to find a way to increase the brightness? We'll just bring it up. We'll have to manage, and you guys, I'm sorry, I might have to just squint, trying to like, where is it? So we'll go back a tad. Yeah, this is her just floating in the ocean. What am I going to do? Look, it's so dark. Anyway, hopefully you guys could see it. And yeah, they're
just waves. It's okay, everyone.
I couldn't. I was like, and I knew what they'd have to do now. Like, could the writers unironically be that brain dead to actually have us swim across the ocean? I'd like to think no. And they acknowledge that that's going too far. So they have just a raft come across her so damn conveniently. But this is the thing. So the writers are forced to do this because they know it's bloody stupid to have her just swim back.
Yeah.
But guess what? That's exactly what Galadriel thinks because she's the one starting to swim! Freaking retarded, man.
Yeah. Because she herself thought, yes, that's right, it makes sense to be able to swim back to where I came from.
And even then, pay attention, because at the end of the close of this...
So I just remembered your thought from last episode where you say, you know, the gates weren't closed technically in the law. She could just grab a boat and then sail back. That too, she didn't have to jump off. She could just go to the Eternal Lands and then be like, hey, can I get a rowboat, please?
Well, it turns out also she wasn't allowed to return back either. Like she was... So the king doesn't really have the right to even send her in the first place. Oh, my goodness. And so... there was something I was going to say about her going off. So, pay attention to the close of this scene. She's swimming. When we come back to Galadriel, and we get a time reference of how much time has passed. Like, this is nighttime. It just became nighttime. Pay attention to what she's doing when we come back. Because, oh, look, spoiler. She's still swimming. So she's swimming non-stop.
All night.
All night. And she's basically fine.
Just breaststroke the whole way. It would make sense. Okay, it wouldn't make sense because this is a dumb idea. But it would make a little bit more sense if she, like, floated for a bit. Rested. Did something. But still, it's done that she's swimming through the ocean. Like, I get tired after, 50 meters going back and forth? No. Yeah.
Moving on to the next scene. Nori! She saw a meteorite falling from the sky. It landed pretty close, and so she goes to it. And it's established that she isn't the only one who saw it. Poppy saw it. And if Poppy saw it, there's probably a lot of other people who would have seen it. Yeah. This was not a subtle small thing in the sky. It was really bright, to be seen across Middle-earth, and it landed near enough to them that the ground shook and people felt it. And you're telling me no one else bothered to just... No one.
They talked about it, but they didn't go and investigate.
Mm-hmm. It's like, bull crap. Don't believe ya. Don't even try. But the thing is, okay, so she's inquisitive. It makes sense that she would, because it would even make more sense that more people than just her would, right? And then, okay, what is she doing? Because I get being inquisitive, but then she finds a man in the center of a crater that fell from the sky, and is like, this is a little out of the ordinary. Even for Middle-earth, I would say this is a little out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
So what does she do then, Nathan? Maybe go get help? This is obviously outside of her realms of, you know...
She needs to investigate herself. Adventure. Into the flames she has to go. Which also, I'm like, you know what? I understand she's inquisitive, but the whole area's on fire. Later we find out it's not hot, but it's still on fire.
I have issues with the not hot crap either.
Your eyes would be like, maybe I shouldn't fall down into that. And, whatever. Step back a bit.
And I think she stumbles because is it Poppy that comes and tries to get her, pulls her back, she slips and then falls down. But if you go back, there's like bits of fire right in front of her, right? And then if we get to the point where she slips, she falls. Now there's no fire in front of her at all. All gone.
Convenient.
And people might say, well, this was a practical effect. They need to get rid of it. You telling me with their budget they couldn't have put in CGI fire or anything like that? For her to roll over, that wouldn't have threatened the actress. And so it's like, well, that looked a bit fake and unrealistic as a result.
Well, yeah, when you can see a clear rolling down pathway that she can go between.
And then she's like, it's not hot. And it's like, oh, come off it. Look, this is the thing, right? The reason why they chose it not to be hot was not because of any greater lore or any trying to create mystery or anything like that. It's because it's a meteorite. It landed, so they think must be fire. It's like, well, it depends, because usually meteorites only get inflamed when they're entering the atmosphere, and then they can cool down pretty quickly. And even if they land, you don't have to say there's fire everywhere, and you could have just gone with not a lot of fire and just justify her going close. But the reason why they need to make it not hot now is because they want her to approach.
Yeah.
Well, okay, just get rid of the fire, but it won't be as dramatic.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? The wizard puts out the fire at one point. And so you didn't even need that then. Have him watch and everything, and have the wizard groan a little bit. Fire goes out, that makes her stumble. She rolls down, no fire, and it's like, they were willing to get rid of the fire in the first place, and the wizard still is, and discount Gandalf, by the way, is still unconscious, and then she approaches him, and he can grab her, and you can have a whole
moment.
That face she pulls is just epic. It's in the thumbnail. So she's like, you're gonna touch this guy that fell from the sky. Yeah, inquisitivity is one thing, blatant stupidity and lack of caution is another,
Because I think if I was her, I would think this person more dangerous than a wolf.
Yes.
Which they all ran away from when they saw the prince. They're like, all right, go.
He fell from the sky as a meteorite, and his father's like, you're not just a little bit cautious, Nori. She knows nothing about this guy. He could be like Sauron or like Morgoth, whatever. I'm sure she's heard of bad, evil entities in the past, wreathed in fire, perhaps, and things.
And what's so dumb is later down, I just realised this doesn't make her regret her decision. None of this danger stuff. It's her dad breaking his ankle that makes her go, oh no, I shouldn't have done it. If I do bad things, my family gets hurt, not danger to herself.
I know, right? I know. And so he grabs her hand and, wait for it. We don't want to get pinged for copyright, and so I have to go like only a couple of seconds at a time. And so he reaches out, grabs her, and this face, is... Oh, look, I love it. That's like my favourite moment in the episode. That right here.
That's a real face of horror too. That is shock. That isn't some glamorous look. That is fear.
Well, I guess you might be the best actress in the show. All right, so I've covered the hot thing. Being inquisitive. Okay. So then he like just screams, wails, pulls the fire back in, and
He sits up.
And then he just drops down after, and then the fire comes back, and you're like, okay, now, Nori, do you think this might be time to get some help? This guy is looks to be unhinged almost. Like, you didn't know what he was trying to do when he grabbed it. He could have just like,
Actually freaked out. It wasn't like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah,
It was,
he could be trying, hobbit food, and then passed out before he got to finish the job for all you know. And then just like, we should definitely help him. Yeah. Come off it. Where's the common sense? How are we supposed to relate to these characters when they're acting so blatantly stupid? Oh my goodness.
I also just felt the most anticlimactic that where, there's flames and then she pokes him and then he grabs her and they're like, oh! And there's all the dramatic looking back and forth and then he just goes, and back to where we were before. Like, you're going from A to B to A. Nothing changed.
And so that happens, right? Poppy says, your mum's gonna kill ya. And I'm like, okay, I want to break that down. What does Poppy think the mum's gonna kill her for? Seeing a I think maybe there might be something in that she saw a meteorite land and doesn't go tell anyone else, but everyone should have seen it anyway. But that's a minor thing. I especially like went back and say, all right, we found where the meteorite landed. There's a man in there who's a bit unhinged and is able to control fire, weird fire that doesn't burn, and he tried to eat me.
I think kill her in the sense of like what you did right then was very stupid.
Yes, touching him. I think it was the touching
him, going, looking like just. You cross the line on so many levels here, and if you were a parent and you saw your child do that, you'd be like, what are you doing? Like when a kid goes walk up to a fire, you're going to stop them before they get there.
Well, this is the thing. In response to saying you're getting in so much trouble, she's like, don't tell anyone. Well, what you could do is just like leave the part out of her being stupid and touching him and just say, we found the meteorite. And like this doesn't justify the secrecy because they're trying to say that this is why, we've got to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
It's like, no. It's like, I'm not believing you. I'm not there. And so this guy actually is now potentially dangerous, extremely so. And her choosing to not tell anyone, this is now going, like before, there's inquisitivity and then there's blatant stupidity, and now we're beyond stupid to selfish and putting other people's lives at risk.
For the sense of adventure and being curious.
It's like, this is not making me like this character, Amazon. She is... And so then they say they can't leave discount Gandalf to the wolves. And there's like a line that we can't not help people. It's not who we are. And then Poppy is like, it's who I am. But it's like, okay, are they trying to establish that the hobbits, they're caring people that will help strangers? That Nori seems to think that. And maybe I could believe it of her dad as well and stuff. Okay, then. So you can't leave him alone. Why not tell others for help then? If you really want to help this guy, and you're saying that it's the nature of hobbits to help people, which seems to contradict their reclusive nature, but she says the line, it's not who we are to not help people. It's like, okay. But then no, she doesn't. It's like, there and they gotta do it themselves. And then, we see the other hobbits they clearly heard something. They're
Yeah.
like, we better just stay in the thing. And look, I get it. My issue is that no one saw it. It was so prominent in the sky.
I just like at the end of the scene, he tells the two girls, "Oh, get lost!" And then all he does is look more with his lantern. Doesn't actually go and look at the debris.
Oh yeah, then Poppy and Nori steal things like ninjas. Like it goes away, and he conveniently looks in the exact opposite direction. And while he's looking in that opposite direction, conveniently, Nori takes somebody else, and he's like, they're gone. But the thing is, though, she ran off screen there, right? That doesn't mean she's disappeared just because we can't see her.
Yeah.
It's like,
What if she runs in the middle of his eye?
I know, just look a little bit that way. She's carrying lanterns which are bright, which kind of give people away when they're in darkness. Freaking this bloody dumb, stupid, retarded show. It's layers and layers of stupid. And friggin' out.
That's something you would see as a director when you're filming.
Yeah.
Like you'd follow the camera. Okay, like cut off because you can see her clearly.
No, because we can't see her, no one can see her. She's out of frame, doesn't exist. That's the level of quality directing here.
Yes.
Don't give me this bull crap. Okay. And so now they have the lanterns and a rag or rug, and Poppy says, this is ludicrous. It's never going to fit into that old cart. And I'm like, what old cart? They take him to what looks to be like a brambled kind of stick shelter thing. It's not a cart, or they didn't. If it's supposed to be, they didn't show us that it's this old raggedy cart. And so as a result, I was like, he's already in the cart. What are you talking about? And so, it's just like paying attention to what you're showing and what you're saying. That's one of the big failures of this show.
I can't even do it.
It's basic filming 101, you'd think, right? Just make sure that what you're showing is matching what the characters are saying in observation or even the narration. And episode 1 has heaps of times like that, where Galadriel says, we thought our joys would be unending, when the scene literally showed her being bullied and having an awful time. It's like, you didn't demonstrate a joyful time at all.
What joy.
Exactly. What they're showing is not matching what they're saying. Another example. And it just shows the amateur level of, talent that's actually at play here. All right, so, and then there's another interesting line. I don't, like, is there anything that you've...
My next one is when they're talking about what he is, who he is, and then she's like, he's not handsome. And, I mean, got to be honest here, the elves in this show aren't that handsome. It says he's not handsome like an elf, how could he be an elf? I mean, compare the elves in this show to Lord of the Rings movies, and you'll see the stark comparison between their beauty. But also just how they're talking about all the different races in Middle-earth. It confuses me how they're always saying they're reclusive, we're hidden away, and yet they know what men and elves and dwarves and all these other things.
They're pretty well informed. Like, she even says, like, oh, it's a constellation. It's like, you know about constellations?
How do you know this?
What level of education do these hobbits have?
Also, right, if they're at this level, why do they have branches in their hair and live in these, like, little swamp-like hut things? If you're that smart, go out mining, get better tools, technology.
Plant crops.
They're too busy eating snails and going, oh man, being in this little reclusive is great. And yet they know so much about the world, it doesn't make sense.
You're absolutely right, Nathan. I'm like, you point out a very valid point that I'm going to now unpack a little bit, because you've revealed, I think, a big problem with these versions of hobbits. Why are they so reclusive and trying to hide themselves? It seems to be because they're afraid of the outside world. Okay, so if they're afraid of all the dangers and everything like that, having a nomadic tribe that literally needs to travel through the world to different resources makes you far more vulnerable than if you plant crops and fortify your location in a secure area. Like the very nature of their society is absolutely contradictory based on what they're trying to achieve and what they're doing to achieve it.
Yeah.
Nonsense. And these are the things that you want to think about. This is important world-building stuff. And so there's a line here where, they're talking, and one of the lines that stood out to me is when she says, this isn't an adventure, this isn't one of your adventures, Nori. Nori's response is amazing. She says, what's that supposed to mean? I didn't go looking for this. You literally did!
You saw it in the sky, and you went, I'm going to check that out. and then you found them.
I didn't go looking for
You did. If you really didn't want to, you would just stayed at home with your dad playing with the wheels.
Oh my goodness. My goodness. And there's a small thing that contradicts their line about, we have to help them because that's who we are. Poppy says, if anyone finds out that they helped a stranger, anything bad that happens for the next 3 seasons will be our fault. It's like, okay, so you almost have like a specific culture of not helping and interacting with people in trouble.
Yeah.
So, Nori, that's what you said when you said it. That's just not, it's like, yeah, leaving him for dead is exactly what these hobbits are doing. And then she says, I feel like it's my responsibility. Poppy replies, you feel like everyone's your responsibility. And I'm like, writers, you need to make sure what the characters say match what the characters do. If anything, Nori is showing herself to be the most irresponsible person, putting lives at risk. She took little, like hobbits and everything, outside of the bounds of where they were meant to go, and exposed them to a potential wolf attack.
They could have all been eaten and died.
It's like, and now she's suddenly so responsible that she feels she has to look after this guy that fell from the sky that could potentially wipe out her entire village. Don't give me this bull crap. It's like, I don't believe you, Nori, or writers. And again, this shows a very large lack of talent where the writers are not capable of demonstrating the characteristics they want their characters to have. So they just have the characters say who they are, or have other characters say, oh, you're so great, you're so funny, you're so intelligent, because they can't figure out how to write that. And it's like, no, that doesn't work. It just comes off as fake and very amateur writing. And then there's another line where she's like, I know that sounds strange, but somehow I know he's important.
That one got me so
Go,
bad.
Nathan, go. You take it then.
Do I have mentions for that?
What gave that away, Nori? Why do you think he might be significant or important? This doesn't mean he's not dangerous, okay? But I think being significant... Sorry.
Yeah. No. You keep going on your...
Yeah, I think him being significant or important might have been given away by the fact he fell from the sky. Stupid fat hobbits.
But I felt like they're just, like you said before, they're skipping beats on they want to feel safe and secure, but then she'll go out and do something irresponsible as a result. There's no through line to that. She's doing two polar opposite things and wanting both at the same time. This happens all the time through the show. And as well, just her motive being like, I feel like he's important.
Yeah.
Just because he crashed near you? He crashed near every other half-foot in the village as well. Does it mean they're important to him too?
My goodness. This is just getting worse and worse.
Oh, it is.
There might have been a slight glitch I noticed on the stream, but...
Oh, yeah, and the thing's down. Let me just...
Yeah, sorry.
Fix that. There we go.
Guys, let us know if the audio's still good in the chat. But, oh gosh, the more we go through this, right? It's just the more it paints a picture of this is so bad. I'm not even through a page. I got 6 pages.
We're still on the first one.
Oh my goodness. Yep, chat saying we're good. Good to hear. Okay, so she feels she was meant to find him and help him. I thought, maybe, but Nori, that doesn't mean you were meant to do it alone. What if you were meant to find him to alert the others, and that the purpose was to get the others to help him in a better way? Like doing it yourself might not be the best option, and it could be dangerous and all that stuff. What if she was meant to find him to prevent the danger that he could pose, to warn everyone else, to get the hell out of here while there's a crazy discount Gandalf wizard guy?
So many reasons you could give why she should go to other people instead.
It's like, But so we move forward, they have that discussion, and this is the whole, it was meant, she's looking, it was meant to do it, right? And then this is the end of that scene. And it cuts to Discount Legolas now, and activist lady.
I think these two are my least favourites. I find the most flaws in their relationship than anyone else in this show. Other ones, even with Galadriel, I can kind of pass it off because of the way she acts. But these two can't act with each other. There's no chemistry.
I was going to say that.
No chemistry. The lines are forced, and there's so much awkward looking. Like, I feel like if I was a cameraman on set filming this, because this breaks it so much, I'm always thinking about that, I would just feel awkward every single day. And like the lines here, because before in the last episode they talk about how he was a planter or
like you could have just said farmer.
Farmer, like
I thought did he say grower or something like that?
Yeah, he was a grower. That's right. Which is a poor choice of words in this modern day. And then here they don't call it an earthquake; they call it a ground
shake.
Like they're just trying to sound more intelligent and smart,
or medievally.
Yeah, but it just makes you sound more dumb. Like that's what a kid says. It was a ground shake.
And going back to what you're saying, you're right. The chemistry, like, what's their relationship?
It's forbidden, Shad. That's what it is.
It is. Is it the taboo of it? Because at the moment, I think she just finds him hot, and it's that surface level. It's like he's a mysterious elf who likes seeds or flowers or something. Yeah. Like they clearly haven't interacted a lot, and they try and hide it.
Yeah. They're not very good at it because they get walked in on.
Forbidden romance thing. So anyway. I need to mark off as I go because I'll get lost. All right, so there. They say the earth was riven with fissures like a ground shake, and I'm like, do these people know what a ground shake or earthquake is? If it was, you would have felt something.
That is a fair point.
Like they're not that far away. They're so close that they can walk to it, and there's a big earthquake that no one felt. You know what that means? It wasn't an earthquake.
Well, you point that out, Shad. Okay, touche. I did not think of that. But whenever there's even like a slight tremor where we are, everyone's like, "Was that an earthquake?" And they check. If there was nothing anywhere else, it wasn't an earthquake. We've got scales for that now. But you're right, because they ran over there, which you'd think, just considering how quickly they got there, wouldn't be that. I mean, Galadriel's also swimming through the ocean, so maybe they don't know what time travel is or whatever. Maybe they do. But no, that's a fair point. If the ground shook, they would have felt it.
And then they say, like, perhaps they all fled. And, what we were just looking at had a dead cow. Okay.
Yeah.
And do we see it? Like, I might need to play it just briefly. But literally, they give the line. Sorry. Do earthquakes cause fires?
Not unless if it shakes fire onto something else, but...
It's just like everything's on fire!
And look, everything's burnt down. You'd think more of the, the town got lit ablaze.
It's like, this looks like a complete, destruction hellscape. Something obviously attacked this town. You'd have to be a bleeding moron not to conclude, we didn't feel an earthquake, everything's destroyed, all the people are missing, but there's dead animals everywhere, so something still killed the animals. Might you want to inspect the animals to see what killed them? They just pass by them completely.
And houses didn't, fall down or anything. They've just been destroyed. So obviously something's come in and hit it or attacked it or whatever, rather than the ground shaking underneath it.
And some houses have fallen, but others, are completely intact.
Yeah.
And... this isn't that much of a mystery. It's like something attacked the village and stole all the villagers.
Done.
It's just what could have done this? It's so mysterious. And
he does this all the time. As well, the torch in front of his eyes. This happens repeatedly in this episode.
There's the dead animal. It's it looks like its neck has been slit open. Just look down!
A ground shake did this, Shad.
Oh.
And bent down against the people.
This crap, man. And then they find a hole in the ground. Okay, so I want to go to it. I want you to see the hole because it's in this thing. It's beneath them right here. But I don't want to get pinged for copyright, so I got to go
I can even just take it down for a moment.
Cool. Oh, that helps.
Yeah.
That helps. And so someone dug this passage. So he throws it there's the hole, people. And so...
Again, this dialogue is awful when they say, this is no ground shake. Someone dug this passage. And the response is, something.
I love this part. Because it's so bad, right? Someone dug this passage, and she says, or something. Men did not dig this passage. How do you know? Like, what? Of course they could. It could have been men. She just magically knows something because of Mary Sue intuition power, something. Like,
Man cannot dig hole like this.
it's like, says who?
Says her.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
do you know there's another race that's really good at digging, like dwarves?
It could have been dwarves!
But it also could have been men. It was like, men did not dig this passage. It's like,
In this man town, no man has dug in any passage.
oh god. And so, yeah, she's just magic, like, and this isn't the only time that happens. Characters magically divine information out of the ether, and there's no reason.
And no one questions it either.
Oh, so,
And if they do, they're an idiot in the show.
I think Galadriel did it one time already. I've got another point.
Oh
that I
yeah,
can go.
Galadriel did it when they were in the cave area, and she was like, "Oh, this is an ancient magic rule, and this and that." And the other elf guy is just like, "How do you know all this?"
I know, it's like, they were meddling with powers from the unseen world. It's like, I mean, magic, yes, but like specifically, what if it was normal magic and not unseen? And then she just knows, that this sign is a sign for orcs to find, even though it's hidden behind an ice wall and on a thing. It's like, but no, she knows, guys, she knows.
Yeah, now she knows what holes are dug by man, or rather not, because no man can dig any holes.
And so, Discount Legolas says he needs to follow the
Oh my god.
Sorry, it's just the stupid is so funny. All right, wait. He must follow the passage in the other direction. She says, "You don't know what's down there." He responds, "That is why I must go." So let me translate this into normal language, because that's literally the reason why she should. The context is like, you don't know what's down there. What she's saying is that something down there might kill you.
Yeah.
His response, "That is why I must go." Ah, stupid boss. Yeah, something down there might kill me. That was,
And just the way the lines are read, it's like, go, warn your people. You're not coming with me? Obviously not, jeez. It's like, I must follow the passage the other direction. If you just say, I follow the passage, I'm going to follow the tunnel. But just adding those extra awkward lines makes the delivery even, And again, the intense
I know.
staring, looking at each other.
"That is why I must go." And it's like, it makes it even feel more stupid because it's so intense about it when he's literally responding to a concept that says, you probably will die. And it's like, yeah, so he wants to die then. That, are they paying attention to, she wasn't saying, you don't know what's down there in the sense that you need to find out what's down there. Yeah, that's why I must go, because then that line would logically flow on.
Yeah.
It's like they're not understanding even their own dialogue, what's actually being implied by it.
No.
And then their follow-up lines directly contradicting.
I think they just
concept.
use them. They use them as cliches. I've heard people say, "This is the reason why I must go."
Yeah.
I am the darkness. I am the night. I am the hero that everyone deserves, but not he is. But they don't have that brain cell to figure out what the coherent sentence is. Like my comment there was that like it was complete cliche. It was utter cringe, and it takes me out of the story and the world completely because it doesn't even follow the natural state of conversation.
It's like the writers don't know how conversation works. And I'm not kidding.
It's like they just tweet things all day.
Do you know why a boat floats and a rock sinks?
Because the rock looks down
It's like,
and the boat looks up. That was the warning sign, Shad.
I know.
Think. That was like writing on the wall.
and they are not subverting our expectations on that. They set up, this is the quality of writing in this show, people, and they have been consistent with that all the way through. And I'm not kidding. There's more horrible analogies where they just mean gobbledygook crap, and they're saying it like it's something meaningful. They're so desperate to imitate Tolkien, yet they don't have the talent to.
No.
And so they're just, it's nonsense. Complete nonsense. Oh my goodness. And so yeah, that's why I must go, and he goes down, and now it's, we go to Elrond and what's his face? I'm gonna mute the sound just in case the sound is coming through. Yeah, something. But so they're in Eregion, and oh gosh. Okay, so this is not the only time it's happening, but I want to when the writer needs to give the audience context, there's a number of ways to do it. One of the most natural ways is just showing it, like letting it the characters kind of demonstrate the contextual information what's about. If you can't do that, you need a natural way for the character, one of the characters kind of speak it. And this is when they kind of insert a Watson-like character, you know, Sherlock Holmes and Watson, where Watson is asking questions that the audience might logically ask, and then Sherlock Holmes has a natural reason to explain it to Watson, but then is explaining it to the audience here, okay? When this doesn't work and it becomes off as so forced is when a character explains something that nearly everyone in the scene and room would already know. It's like, why are you spelling something out? It would be an insult to that character's intelligence, and it's so obviously to the audience. This scene does that, but in the worst way, because not only is it like speaking to the audience, it's completely not needed, because if they cut it out, the context would have let us know anyway.
Yep.
It's amazing. He goes, Fëanor's hammer, and so that establishes the context. It's Fëanor's hammer. And then he goes on to explain the tool that made the Silmarils, the jewels that contain the very light of Valinor. Like Celebrimbor knows that. You don't need to say it, Elrond. And the context would have been really interesting because Celebrimbor's Elrond's line. It's like, strange that one tool can create so much beauty yet so much pain. Like, if he just followed up with that line, he says, like this, ready? Fëanor's hammer. Strange that a tool that creates so much beauty creates so much pain. It's like, that actually adds an air of mystery around it. That would draw me in. I'd be interested.
I think it'd be good, because for people who don't know what it is, they'd be drawn into it, but those who do, they'd be like, oh, that's a cool little shout-out. They just mentioned it, but they didn't do a lore dump, which they did in this one. They just copied and pasted the appendices and said, all right, here we go. Just put that in the show.
And then what Celebrimbor... that would prompt him to maybe mention something about the Silmarils and everything, because he literally, I think, mentions that, you know, when Morgoth stole the Silmarils and everything like that, and then that instantly adds the context that that's what the hammer made. And so that's establishing the lore just through natural conversation that these characters would have, and we don't need this stupid amateurish, the tool, the thing that made the Silmarils, and then he has to explain the Silmarils, the jewels that contain the very light of Valinor.
And that guy's just like, yeah, no, that's why I got it.
Why are you telling me this? And there's another blatant moment like this, where it's just like, who is writing this amateurish crap?
Well, he did it again in the first one when he's talking to Galadriel with the painting, and he does the
Yes,
he does it again. He just goes, oh, that boat there, that goes and takes them off to the nice happy place, and yada yada.
And Galadriel does the same thing when she's looking at the trees with the things in.
Yes, she does.
And she's like, I thought I would have been carved in one of these things. And it's like, that's it. We know the context now.
Yeah.
But then they literally need to explain to the audience because they think you're stupid. The writers think you are that dumb that you couldn't pick up on obvious context. All right? And they have to spell it out so that, you know, all the dead are like, it's consistent. Episode 1, episode 2, they think you're morons, but this is what the truth is, right? I actually think they're putting it in because they feel they would need this explained to them because perhaps they're not that smart to pick up on such blatantly obvious context. And because this is a very, smart people do not write this. I'm sorry, it's harsh, but it's like, this is such crap. This dialogue, this writing, setups and payoffs,
And you could even, you said before, we could just stop there, cut it out. In the editing room, you could just cut that portion out and it would make the thing flow a bit better. They can't even do that. They just go, oh, we've got to keep that in. Which shows that it isn't, it's deliberate.
It's intentional.
They want it to be in there.
It went through every single layer of quality check and the audience are idiots. They need this spelled out.
Yeah. How will we know what the hammer is if we don't tell them what it is?
And so Celebrimbor then goes on to describe something that Morgoth stole them, and he just gave the Silmarils, gazed upon them for ages. Then he says, one of his tears fell on a Silmaril, and he was faced with the evil of his own reflection, that his reverie was broken. Couple of just common sense questions here. I know how big a tear is. It's pretty small. It's hard to see your reflection in one.
Is he a big guy? Is it big tears?
I don't know. And I don't know if this actually comes from something in the Silmarillion lore or anything like that.
Let us know. Is this canon?
And if it is, they're probably presenting it in a really poor way. But even if this is correct context, I would still criticize it, okay? Tolkien is brilliant. He's wrote one of the best works in it, you know, but he's not above criticism in certain small areas which might not make sense. And if he did this, I don't think he did because, you know, he's a talented guy. It's like, you can't really see a reflection in a tear. And the other thing is, like, Morgoth, I never got the impression that Morgoth... What's chat saying?
Chat's saying it's not canon.
That's what I thought, because this is pretty silly. Because then, Morgoth, I never got the impression that he would have been, I guess, taken aback by his own evil. I thought he was like, I'm evil and I love it, baby. Like, but they're saying, Morgoth? Morgoth is basically the devil of this world. And you're saying he's suddenly, oh no, I'm so evil, I can't look upon myself. Come off it! Gosh. Ah, man, it's just relentless. And then he goes, Celebrimbor says, an age ago, our kind brought war to these shores. And I'm like, that's a bit of an unfair way to frame it. Morgoth caused the war. He killed the trees, like that, you know, that were like the suns, essentially, of this world, and then stole the Silmarils and things. Like, don't you think he bears some responsibility? It's like, oh no, we brought war to this world. It's like, I don't know, Brimby. I'm going to call him Brimby now. Okay. And so then he goes on to say, I want to, you know, create something of true power, and that he wants to create a forge that has a fire as pure as dragon fire or something, that you can make things amazing.
Right, star, flame, or...
And he adds, like, this is a small thing, but it's an important thing because it sets up plot development, okay? And he says for some reason he needs this forge created by spring. The reason why this is important, because that creates a time limit that is forcing them to seek labor outside of the means that the elves have, going to the dwarves. So if this actually, yes, this is an important bit of plot. So therefore, why? Why do they need it done by spring?
They don't tell us.
Without any context given, I'm left thinking, I mean, if it's going to be so difficult getting the dwarves, why can't you just do it next spring and collect all, like why is there such a... And I'm not saying you couldn't come up with a valid reason, but they don't present it. And so therefore I'm just left thinking, this feels like an artificial plot point to inject just to push the story where you're going that's cheap and unjustified as a result. And it wouldn't have taken long at all. Like,
no.
Elrond's like, why spring? And then give him a good reason. The problem is the writers are so bad at this, and the showrunners, they probably would have given some really crappy reason.
Because I said so.
Yeah, it's like, they probably say, I could not bear to wait that long. And it's like...
Because I feel it in my heart.
I feel it, you know, it's like...
It must be this spring. Or never at all. I don't want to imagine that, actually. That's...
And so Elrond's like, yep, we could get the dwarves. And then they're travelling to Khazad-dûm. And so we see the map, okay? We actually see a bit of a distance that they're travelling here. And like, this is at least a few days, I'm thinking, if not more. Like,
you got to camp out at least twice, I think.
Oh my goodness, right? And then they just, you know, and they just rock up like, that was them the whole journey.
No backpacks, no camping equipment, no cloaks, no nothing. They walked out the door and they walked and walked until they got there, like how Galadriel just swam and swam until the camera, like, oh.
They're even wearing the same clothes.
Yeah!
And it's like, what's so annoying that they had such a huge budget. I don't know, give them an eagle or something that they flew there really quickly. Like, but no, they're just waltzing and then they're there. And it's like, makes so much worse because we literally showed the map and then go, it's like, oh, long travel, long journey. And then we get this and we're just thinking, did they teleport? Where are the horses?
Elves just have really good endurance, Shad. They can swim through high seas and trail through mountains. Nothing can stop them.
And Middle-earth isn't exactly a safe place either. It's like, what if you ran into some dangerous things? Oh, my goodness. And then when they get there, Elrond is like explaining something just now to Celebrimbor, like they just brought it up. It's like, I'm very close friends with Prince Durin or something like that. It's like, what, you didn't mention that before?
He's an old and dear friend. Almost like a brother. I have 2 questions. One, how are we only hearing about this right now? It's been, an hour and a half. And he's like, Galadriel's my best mate, best friend. Oh, but Durin, forgot to mention him.
Yeah.
Haven't seen him for 20 years.
Oh man, Elrond is such a jerk friend. Like, we get context that is like, Durin, I'm kind of with you, man.
Yeah.
Like, friggin' hell.
Also, just the fact that, the other guy's like, oh, elves and dwarves do not get along. Like, it's going to be interesting to this. He goes, oh, nah, Durin's my buddy.
Yeah.
We're best mates.
Wouldn't that be like the first question when he suggested the dwarves back at like whatever the city they're in? And it's like, oh no, Durin's... But no, he's only mentioning it now when they arrive.
I'm just also confused. If there's just this opposition to both these races, how do they become friends?
Well...
That's what I'm confused about as well.
It's so early. I actually think there isn't any great offence between them. And by the way, Celebrimbor is supposed to be the friend of the dwarves and stuff, and in the lore. I'm not an expert on it, but it's just interesting that Elrond is the one who is the friend here, and yes, they might lead into Celebrimbor being a friend, but still, it's just like, oh my goodness, they don't know what they're doing, and so they arrive, right? And okay, so. The dwarves just say, go away, essentially.
Also, the way they set this up, I could see it a mile away. He's like, oh, I'll get in, it'll be fun, it'll be all good. I'm like, oh, obviously he's not going to be fun or good. Like, hey, there's so many times in this plot where a character says something, and I know because they're saying it, because they're so confident, it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you saved me 10 minutes. I know, just we can basically skip to him being inside, because I know he's going to get rejected to begin with.
And I get, being offended is one thing. Like, I would get that, Durin might say, Elrond, piss off! I'm not happy with... I'm not,
yeah.
But there's who's the other guy? Oh no, he can come, he's fine. Because, being offended with one person is one thing. Deciding to cut off all ties with all elves...
Just because Elrond's a bit of a jerk?
Yeah, it's like... Isn't that a little far? Like, the elves haven't done to my knowledge, anything grossly offensive to make dwarves really, pissed off at them.
Maybe Durin was just ranting to all his friends. Oh, that Elrond guy hasn't got anything. And they're like, oh man, those elves, they suck. But I realized, Shad, there's another line that I missed to mention that, oh my gosh, it's another one of those, it doesn't make sense for an elf to say this.
Mm-hmm.
Where he says, they sculpt the rock like one does caring for an aged parent.
You're right! Elves don't have aged parents that they need to care for.
How would they know that? They don't have retirement homes, nursing homes. Parents don't age!
By the way, there's another thing about in context of what the elves would actually respond, right? So, one of the elves' purposes was to be in this world, Middle-earth world, until the end of the world. This is like their life, their afterlife, and everything. As a result, when they die, they get reborn as elves. They have a type of reincarnation, but not as other animals, as themselves again. And so the reaction that Galadriel has over people's death, the elves' death, and everything like that, it's a bit... she's reacting like people would react, when elves would have a completely different context of how...
Yeah, different perspective on it as well.
So there's just another interesting thing about the elven perspective, that people they're imposing a human perspective, and what a great pickup there. You're absolutely right. And so this just seems a little bit excessive. And then Elrond's like, oh, I got this. I invoked the right of Sigyn Tarag. And then Celebrimbor is just like... No, or Elrond is like, I'll rejoin you in Eregion, right? And Galadriel was like, oh, okay, sure, I'll just walk back. It's like, I would be like, dude, we just walked this whole distance. It's just, how about, look, I'll wait. Figure it out. Let me come in.
Because afterwards, you're right, he figures it out. He's able to go in, and he mends a bit of the relationship. He could have just come in afterwards. But that would have been, because they walked, 2 days journey there?
Yeah.
And then he goes, sorry, actually, you can't come in. And just how he reacts to, like, oh, okay, I'll walk back.
Mm-hmm. Now, we need to talk about this rite of Sigyn Tarag, because all right, there are layers of issues with it, but the main big thing, and this shows such a level of incompetence about just the overall story structure. We've been going on like micro, but important stuff like line setup and everything like that. But then there are, of course, massive stupid plot holes and everything. Here we get into structure and efficacy, and doing things in an effective way, right? The entire thing of him going and doing the thing with the Dwarven test of endurance, right, could be cut. It establishes and pushes the plot forward in no way at all. Like, Elrond could have come up with any other plausible reason to speak with, like, in actual fact, Elrond has that reason to apologize. Like, if he just said, clearly I've offended Durin in some way, please let me apologize to him and his family, bring him in, pick up from there, done. And we're at the same place. And so all of that was pointless filler, which does nothing for character, which does nothing for plot. You cut the whole thing and we haven't lost to anything.
You're right, and there's some parts of that challenge that I have questions about.
Oh, yeah. And not only that, because the challenge is nonsensical and stupid, right? It makes the show worse by forcing it in. The show would literally be better by cutting it out because nothing is achieved by it, and it just makes the show worse. And I mean, I got to contrast this with House of Dragons. Every scene is doing something important, and oftentimes multiple important things. Establishing character, but also establishing maybe a catch-up of what's happened over the past, but also laying in certain arcs and foreshadowing things. Multiple layers of stuff. And it's such an efficient kind of effective, competent storytelling, where there are large portions you can get rid of entirely. And this isn't the only one in this episode. There's another big arc with Galadriel you could cut entirely. I'll get to it, right? And nothing would be lost.
Yeah.
This show has so much pointless, uselessness in it. It could be half the length and you'd still achieve the same things in the plot. And so they'd say, oh, it's just putting in because it's a fun thing. But no, it actually makes the characters look bad and stupid, and it makes it worse. This isn't an improvement.
Yeah, a fun thing would actually improve the story and have you grow to like the characters more.
Yeah, because sometimes you, I'll admit, sometimes you want to throw in something that's just fun. Might not achieve much in character development or anything like that, but if it's a cool fight scene, yeah. But so far the fight scenes have been awful, and this is a perfect example that you're getting nothing, it's actually making it worse. And so anyway, he invokes the right of Sigyn Tarag, and he starts walking into Khazad-dûm. And so people have commented on Khazad-dûm. It's like, it looks really, really good. And it's like, I think that's a cool visual. It's
really?
What do you think?
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
I didn't like it at all. He looks like he's on a separate platform. Like, it looks like he's been composited in.
You're right. Now that I'm looking at you,
the lighting was very off. I was drawn to that immediately.
Wow. I just don't have a good eye for that, because as you pointed out, I'm like, oh, you're right. That is clearly a physical set on top of
visual effect. Yeah. And just, I don't know. For me, it felt big, open, broad spaces, and then they put in little props and people to make it feel alive. But people, there's a bit of movement, but why are people all lining up like that? When they go through different shots, there's just like two dwarves standing on this giant pillar tower thing, and they're just going. It doesn't feel like a real world, because everything they're doing doesn't make sense in context of what would be in a society like this.
And it's funny, there is a question of, what do dwarves eat? And they try and answer that because they show these weird kind of step farms in this world the green is, but it's like, all right, I'm sorry, but if you're going to say they farm things for food, basically that means they're all going to starve. That is nowhere near enough farm area to feed an entire civilization. I thought dwarves just ate certain types of rock or something like that. There's plenty. There's a lot of it, right? And they're a different race than humans. I could go with it. But then they actually try to say, oh no, it's farming, and then they show. Do we see it? It's right in the corner over down there. If you see it, yeah. Do you see them farming on those little step sections? The thing that I particularly, rose an eyebrow at, Elrond says, how could they have made such a difference in 20 years? And I'm like, he's saying this is all basically new. It's so new that he had to comment on it. And if this is all new, I'm sorry, I don't even think dwarves could make this all in 20 years. He's basically saying it's all new, different. Just 20 years? That would freaking take 100 years.
Yeah. to make all that, to grow even, a lot of that green stuff that's there, if it wasn't all here before. How? In 20...
Look at him. He's like, what? It's all so new and different.
Oh, man, 20 years
ago. Oh, there we see the farming things right there.
That's not much at all.
Yeah, it's like, that's feeding the civilization. Right. I don't believe it. Okay, so here we come into... all right, Durin comes in, and... remember how I said, like, just saying things for the audience? This is that other moment. Oh. So... Durin, he says, the elf has invoked the right of Sigyn-Tarag. That's all we need. Stop right there. Done. Because everything else will show us what this is. It's like they compete against each other. So it's a contest, and it's clearly how long they can break stones. So it's a contest of endurance, and it's something that the dwarves do. It's the Dwarven contest of endurance. We can figure it out so clearly and easily by what's shown. But no, everyone in this room, every single dwarf, Durin, and Elrond knows what Sigyn-Tarag is, and he literally says, the Dwarven test of endurance. And then he keeps going. He's like, clearly, they don't even know what he has to explain what that is. Once we lift our hammers, we will keep going, blah, blah, blah. It's like the writers think we're idiots. Oh my goodness. And there are multiple examples of characters saying things that just is purely for the audience. I think Nori was doing when she's like saying who she is and what she's meant to be and all that crap. And this is just trying to explain, I'm this, that. They think we're idiots, and it's so pointless, and it comes off as such amateurish crap. This is like one of the 101 errors in writing, where, explaining things where characters explain things in a scene that all the other characters would know, right? Yeah. It's called maid and butler. So when writing wasn't as good back in the day, and they had stage plays, and they wanted to set a scene, they would have a maid and butler come on, where they would say things that each other knows, and they'll say, as you know, the master is away. And then the maid will say, oh, I do know that, but have you heard that their mistress has been getting into trouble? I have heard that, but... And, they're telling each other things they know, and it's just for the audience, right? And you know why we don't do it? Because it's so cheap, okay? It's so lazy, it's so artificial and fake, and now it's a trope that we refer back to as things you don't do in writing. And when we see it in a show that spent billions of dollars on, and this is the quality... Oh my goodness. So he specifically says, right, if the elf fails, he will be banished from all Dwarven lands forever. This is where one of those moments in the scenes makes the show worse, because they just flat out contradict this. He doesn't get banished. He just made a commitment in front of all these dwarves that he would be banished if he fails.
And then he fails, and then doesn't get banished. They distracted me enough for me to forget that.
That's what they want. Yeah. This show is distraction the show. Look at the pretty visuals. Look at all the CGI effects. Look at this. Look at that. To try and distract us, the true crap quality of this show.
That's a bad one.
It is.
That's a bad one.
And they didn't need it. They could have cut this whole scene.
And just gone in to apologise.
Exactly. But now Durin looks like a two-faced liar who won't keep his oaths and just says stuff to his people that he just flips back on right away. Well done, show. You're establishing Durin as a great character so far. Oh my goodness.
And this shot, when I was watching this, I don't know if we can really tell because we put the brightness up for you all. But when I was watching this, his face was caked in makeup for this shot.
Oh, was it?
It did not look good at all. That one isn't too bad, but there was a part where I could just see the powder going from his nose to his cheeks.
All right, so the Dwarven test of endurance. So I don't mind necessarily that Elrond is able to swing the hammer. Because elves are essentially super people, right? But if that was the case, why do they show Elrond struggle holding the hammer when it's put into his hands? And you might say it was surprise, but still, it contradicts. At one point, they're showing Elrond as weak. He struggles to hold the hammer, so let's see if we can get to it. He's got the hammer there. This is Durin. I think Elrond already has it. But when Elrond literally grabs, he's like, ooh.
Yeah.
But then he's like, bang, like a boss. It's just like, consistency, you know? Oh boy, 2 pages down. And so when Elrond swings a hammer, that's like the beginning of it, and they cut away back to the hobbits, the discount hobbits, Nori and... Okay. So with Discount Gandalf, right, he's doing this thing. They're clearly trying to cheaply benefit off of making him be like Gandalf. And so he does Gandalf-y things. So when Nori gets the drop on him, he does a Gandalf thing where he pulls Shadow in and stuff. That is like straight out of Gandalf's handbook. And so you're telling me you're not separating this, like, you know, this is like, come off it. And it's very likely this guy is Gandalf. I don't give a crap, because even if he's not, they're trying to benefit off of making him a Gandalf substitute. Again, trying to benefit off of better works than what they are able to make by putting in cheap things like this, copying. They're just trying to copy things, and their imitation doth not lack the genuine creativity or purity of the original, because guess what? Evil cannot create, can only corrupt. And then, you know, when he talks to insects as well, it's like, very Gandalf-y thing. He has a relationship with hobbits. It's like, and if this is Gandalf, you're trying to say this is why Gandalf liked, you know, hobbits, because they were the first creatures he met in Middle-earth and treated. I was like, that's cheap.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, and it's like, come off it. Because Gandalf, you see, like, he literally says things he's learning about hobbits in Lord of the Rings, like, hobbits still, you could learn all their doings in a day and they could still surprise you, which is kind of implying that, you know, he hasn't had huge interaction with hobbits. And when I say huge, even a couple 100 years, right, is like way past anything here. Another really weird thing. Looks like hobbits have sign language. She actually starts to sign where she says name or something like that, and she grabs her ear and she starts actually signing. Do we get? It might take too long to find the exact thing, so I'll take it down. I'll just try and find it. So he grabs the ear. Oh, okay, is it here? Let's bring it back up. Oh no,
we missed it.
Yeah, but no, it's right here. She holds out her hand like I'm Nori or something like that.
Whatever.
And so, since when would they have sign language? Is it because they're hiding and they have to communicate, but they don't establish that? That's me explaining a plot hole that's not explained. It's just suddenly sign language, which does not fit with this society. They would develop like a complex system of signs and stuff. Like, okay, sure. There's another poor exchange after this. She feeds him food. Dad is fixing a cart, right? The mum is just sitting on her rear end, and she says, stop your lounger dazing and lend us a hand, while he's actually doing something actively. And what are they trying to say? This isn't funny. It makes her look like a cow. I think it's their attempt at humour.
Yeah, also there was a part just before this when she was talking about to a friend, like why she should help him. Mm-hmm. And she said, a half foot without manners is like to get far in life as a square wheel. And I copied that exactly. Mm. The grammar was not good on that. And it was just another bit of word vomit, where they're just like, she's going to be good like Wheels? Remember Wheels from the last one? Who can forget? But yeah.
Okay, and so then they're also actually, they cut back to this. They're really inconsistent with if this Discount Gandalf can understand what she says or not.
Yeah.
Half the time he clearly reacts like he does not understand a word, but then other times it's like he responds to a word she says that he understands. Like he either can understand some of the language or can't understand anything, you know? So they're inconsistent with that. And then, and so there's this weird thing where Dad Hobbit is trying to push up a post, right? Mm. And then Discount Gandalf starts writing with a stick in the dirt. We later find out that he's trying to show constellations. How stupid is this guy? You know, constellations, draw some dots in a certain pattern, do that, point to the sky. That would be a pretty easy kind of body language to but instead he's drawing lines like,
and then he goes,
and he's going, Mona. And it's like, this guy's mentally injured or something.
I mean, he hit the ground pretty hard.
Oh my goodness. It's ridiculous. And so then this weird thing happens where the show quite directly shows that it's Discount Gandalf that breaks the Hobbit father's foot. He's drawing in some type of magic, and then he snaps his twig. And the exact same time he snaps his twig, they show snapping the foot, showing he's the one causing it. And I'm like, what? Why? What's the connection? He doesn't even know Hobbit Dad is alive. He's never met him. What is causing him to snap the foot?
It's just the bad omens, Shad, because she's helping him, and it's the culture of the Half-Foots if you go out and do bad things, and bad things can happen to everyone else. And
it's so nonsense and so confusing. What are they trying to do? And also, when the rope snaps, right? Look, it snaps. It's not even on him yet at this thing. As soon as you feel it's starting to fall back its full weight, any half reasonable person with the slightest reflex would just go, just push it out, get out of the way. Instead, he stands there, lets it fall onto his shoulder, tries to hold it, and even, all right, after it falls on his shoulder, just move like that. It will roll off. It's round, okay? And then you just, what are they trying to do? This guy's a moron.
And no one helps him either.
Exactly.
He's like, clearly.
He's like, ooh, you know? And it's like, and then he tries to hold it. What are you doing? Gosh, no one has come to help him. And then I would be like, it's weird because this is one of those situations I'd say they're obviously breaking common sense to achieve something they want in the plot, but I don't know what they want to achieve in the plot because why is it important to have Discount Gandalf break the father's foot? It's so nonsense. And they say that, you know, he can't migrate now, all right, later on. And this, if I'm trying to steelman this, and this is giving it way too much charity, Discount Gandalf somehow knows intuitively because of magic that he needs Nori's help and he can't let them migrate away. And so he breaks someone's foot to prevent him. But then later in the episode, Nori comes back and says we're about to migrate and he's lying in a cart. And so they clearly can migrate with him having a lame foot. And by the way, the idea of migrating when they're supposed to be... Anyway, I've mentioned that already. And so that isn't even a show. Like, what? There's no reason. No reason. And so all of this scene is set up, this thing, it achieves nothing in the plot. Guess what? It's another one of those things that's pointless. You can cut it, and the show would be better for it. Because at the moment, I'm just getting confused. There's no logical through line, and Discount Gandalf just looks like this crazy, weird whatever. This show is so crap. You know what would make this show better? If it didn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Then we could review House of Dragons or something.
Oh my goodness.
But look, I will admit, the dad breaking his leg, for once, I feel like I had a bit of conflict and emotion to it. Like, now Nori has actually something to worry about, and there's something for her as a character to go through. Whereas before, she was just getting herself into trouble and doing dumb things. But now it's like, oh, my dad's hurt because... And I wasn't there for it.
But how could she know? She says, I should have been there to do what exactly? Do you think you would have helped him when no one else did?
Maybe, but I don't know. In this show, not much has really driven characters to do things, aside from Galadriel just having something inside her and Elrond being told to go do things. I feel like this is actually an event in the world that made Nori actually think, oh, maybe I should be more responsible.
Oh, gosh. So, then, I don't know, he tries to murder someone. She's like, no, friend. And then she's like, yeah, Dad's injured. I should have been here. Dad's foot. And then again, they're like, I can't migrate. It's all useless. It's doing nothing. And then we cut to Galadriel.
She's still swimming.
How
long has it been?
I don't know.
25, half an hour. Time has passed.
Yeah.
She's still swimming!
In the context of the larger world, at least a night and a day. Like she started when it was dark.
Dark.
First when she was approaching, like, is it Valinor? It was the beginning of night time. It was starting to get dark, and when she's in the ocean, it is dark, so it's nighttime. And now, this is like middle of the day the next day, at best, when by the other context of what's happening in the other scenes, it looks like a couple of days even. And she's still swimming. She isn't tired. She just kept going. Oh, my goodness. And they're doing it like, playing it straight, like she's
just going.
Just going. Oh, my goodness. This show's a parody at this point, right?
Yeah.
It's just an absolute parody of Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, and it's an insult. So this is where the plot armor comes in, because we set up some of the geography before. She was basically at Valinor on the other end of the ocean, okay? The chances that she would run into natural trade people just coming by her is basically zero. And the fact that she comes across a raft, and what is this raft doing here? What were they trying to go to? And this leads into one of the biggest dumb moments, because it sets up something about chronology. But I'll get there. That is still a page and a half away before I get it. But, just there's a connection between the people on this raft and the larger playing out of events, which contradicts basically everything Galadriel has done. In a big way.
I'm interested to hear it.
Oh, guys, this is like, when I noticed, are you serious? It's amazing. We'll get there. Hold tight, guys. Stay with us. So yeah, the fact that she comes across people on a raft is like bull crap. Bull friggin' crap, okay? Oh my goodness. And then, this is the thing. There might be someone on the raft who was going out of their way looking for Galadriel, because I do know that one of these characters, I don't want to get... Do people care about spoilers? And I think it's so bloody obvious. They are so on the nose, you know who this person is. But the thing is, the show is trying to say that this is just happenstance. And that's where I'll give it, we're judging it on the context of this scene at the moment. And, because Galadriel, like, if they were trying to address this, Galadriel would say, what are the chances that, like, how I shouldn't have run into anyone. But then, of course, that ruins her, I'll just swim across the ocean thing. It's just, okay, it's so bad. Now, I want everyone to pay attention, because from her finding this raft, right, basically everything that happens, to the point where there's a monster attack and she gets pulled up by Halbrand, you can cut it all. It's pointless. Does nothing to progress the plot forward, the actual, what's going on, Galadriel's quest or anything like that. It does nothing to establish characters apart from make them more unlikable, so it's actually more detrimental to the show. This is another one of those moments where it's utter filler and pointless. I'll let you take. I need to clear my throat.
So when she gets up onto the boat, man, the dialogue in this was also very jarring. Where, like, people are saying, "What do you think you're doing? We're not leaving her alone to drift. She's suppose she'll be sharing your rations then." And my comment here was that I bet that she's either going to take control as captain, save them all, and get home, or they're all going to die except for the one other lead cast member.
Did you have any inclination that she would abandon them all to death to save her own hide?
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. Like, instead of saving her, doing something, she quite literally abandons them to die to save her own skin, and then she dares. I mentioned this. She dares criticize whatever guy for doing the same thing. She's such a condescending.
And the other cast guy, the first line he says to her, "The tides of fate are flowing. Yours may be heading in or out." I'd be like, "Thanks, bro. I'm really cold. Can you get me out of here?" And there's another little.
That's like, "I'm wise and insightful. I really am, and I'll deliver this stupid line."
Yeah,
like I'm dead.
But the other thing I noticed,
dead serious.
Just a little sign I noticed is that every man on this wreck here said not to let her on, or every woman said to pull her up. It's subtle, but it sends a message.
It does send a message. Although the woman does push her off when they find out she's an elf or something like that.
Yeah.
But I have a question about that, because Galadriel, she sees the raft and she intentionally pulls her hair over her ears, and I'm like, hang on, again, this is like her magically divining things. This could be maybe stranded elves. And at the moment, why does she think like all humans hate elves? I don't think that's established. Only Southlanders who have had a military occupation and probably, it looks like, being oppressed and judged by the elves for hundreds and hundreds of years, they might be annoyed. But they're like the only group, to my knowledge, Does she just know that these will be Southlanders? She doesn't. She literally asks her, who are you from, where are you from, where are you from? And then he eventually says the Southlands. And so she should know at this point that these would, if anything, letting them see that she's an elf has higher chances of helping her.
Well, apparently on the Amazon, the special sense thing that has all the facts and the cast members on, it says, in this part, because I paused it to write some notes, it said that elves are aware that most humans do not like them.
Well, let us know in the chat, because I thought it was the Southlands. Is it most humans?
Because yeah,
and guess what? That's not established in the
story
show.
At all. No.
Okay, in the context of the show, they've shown one group of people which are on the vast end of the other, Middle Earth, right? That have valid reason to dislike humans, right? Anything else, the elves defeated Morgoth by the sound of it, and you would think a lot of the other humans might be a bit grateful for that. And the elves are building fancy cities and everything, and so the context from what the show establishes is that a lot of the other humans don't seem to have reasons to dislike it. And if you're going to go off of this mention from Amazon, that's relying on external material to fill in a plot hole that the show has not addressed.
There's another comment or a dialogue that they said as well, where they're arguing whether to let her on, and then the guy said to one of the girls, "You didn't seem bothered when we were debating Dobble's death," and then she comes to the non sequitur saying, "Cruelty will not be our deliverance."
Okay, and so she gets on, and someone will say they were sailing and gets cut off before answering, but that's actually really important because there's a big plot of why the hell are they here? They're near Valinor. Like, Galadriel would not have been able to swim very far in a night and a day.
No.
And so this is still near the shores of Valinor. I think, am I saying the right word? The Undying Lands. Across an ocean. Yeah, why that? Where were you going, people? Holy crap. But no, I was like, they're not going to address that. I saw it. There's the question there. Don't think you addressed it by cutting it off. Oh my goodness. And so this guy, he says that when she pulls him on, they're like, who is she and everything? And he says, looks can be deceiving. This guy is the one that says, looks can be deceiving. It's a bit on the nose. It's like, I wonder who he is with a line like that. It's like, oh, there was no subtext or obvious hidden meaning there.
They weren't trying to hide it at all.
And it raises so many questions, like, what is his plan here then? Is it, like the only reason I could think, if you know who this guy is, right, the only reason I could think why he would save Galadriel's life or anything like that, he has the hots for her. I can only think that. Like, what other reason? Oh...
I got nothing.
Oh my goodness, they really want... And there's a scene where they even have him reach into the water and brush back his...
You're right!
It's like...
Oh no!
And they want to build the sexual tension where she doesn't like him and he doesn't like her, but then he saves her life. Like, oh, this is such amateur, like, teen girls love bullcrap.
Okay. I watch K-dramas, and that's a cliche, but you love every single one of them because the conflict is natural.
Yes.
And you can see that although they're polar opposites, they have some sort of chemistry between them. There is no chemistry in this.
Yeah.
It is absolute cringe, and they're forcing it so hard.
Yeah.
Oh, you just want to gouge your eyes out, honestly.
It's comically bad. And anyway, and so... There's all that interaction here, basically, and they see something in the waters approaching, and because we raise the brightness, we kind of can't see it on this one, right? But they first say it's a ship, and the guy says, Corsairs prowl these waters, and I'm like, pirates, what, near the Undying Lands? You telling me, what, there'll be no one to find there? There's no and so again, by the geography that they've established, bullcrap.
I think writers have completely ignored that, and I think that Galadriel has just swam close to...
Yeah. She's swum across an ocean.
Yeah, basically.
They're near the shores of Middle Earth. And so they see sails on a ship, right? And, they think it's a Corsair ship. And then this is where Galadriel says, that is no Corsair ship. How does she know that? We've only seen the bare side of a sail. Oh, okay, maybe it's the elven eyes. Elves' eyes see better, and if she can see closer, she.
We just haven't seen what she's seen.
Yeah, I know, but still, it felt like she's just pulling bullcrap because we're going off of the information they've seen, and no one explains that. If she says, like, you know, I can see through the mist. That is no call. All right, there we go. But now it feels like she's just bullcrap. Oh, sorry, there was a really cheesy line where it's like, "Remove your hand from me, sir."
Yeah, when he like
pulls it.
And she says it in such a
Karen way.
That's all I was like, Cohen! Gosh, she does a great Karen.
She really does.
I'll give her that. Remove your hand from me, sir!
Yeah, and also, alright, let's say she could see that was no Corsair ship. That means she would see it's a sea monster. Because as soon as you see better, you see that it's a sail caught on these big ribs of a sea monster. Maybe you would want to warn them, Galadriel. If you can see, so it's one or the other. Either she magically knows because of bullcrap, or she can see because of her elven eyes, and clearly see it's a sea monster, and she doesn't tell them. She just says, "Oh, it's not a Corsair ship." She wants them to die! It's relentless, this crap! Gosh. Did we mention that episode 2 was worse than episode 1?
We have.
When you go to the technical level, there are, like, we've got 3 strong examples of utterly useless scenes. We've got nonsensical conversations back and forth. We have things that make chasmic plot holes, and we aren't even at the biggest one yet, which undermines the very plot of Galadriel's whole quest. Holy crap. This is complete garbage. Okay, so there's that. There's a weird moment where so they push her into the water, right? There's a weird moment. So here, they close up on her eyes, and she even like screams like she sees something, right? Like there, and then it closes up on the sea monster, and like
that was it.
That was it. I was like, what?
Yeah, my impression was that she was going to go do something. I thought she saw something in the tail, or she was going to some sort of plan.
Yeah.
But then she just swims away.
This is amazing, okay? So, if you were supposed to set up a heroic, noble character, what you would do is have her try and save them. And look, it's easy to write a way in which she fails, and they die, and she survives. She is more physically capable than them. She's an elf. She has the elf physicality and everything, even though they push that to insanity with, killing the troll so easily where all the other elves struggled. But also, like, killing the troll establishes her as some insane, crazy warrior. With those skills and abilities, I wouldn't put her past her being able to just kill this thing. Yes, it would still piss me off because it means crazy Mary Sue, but now it's about consistency, power scale, and power level. And so she is so capable, and she's like, nah, I'll let them die. So this guy is like, oh, I've separated myself. I'll jump ship, okay? She resurfaces. She looks, sees what he's doing. She looks at the sea. It's like, yeah, see ya. You guys can die. I'm gone. Did we mention she's an unlikable cow in this? Like, and yeah, she's like,
and then they all get eaten.
And they all get eaten.
And she's just like, oh man, so glad I did breaststroke in high school.
Like, she's literally swimming away, letting them die to save her own skin, using them as bait. There is no other reading of that scene. And she has the gall to criticize Halbrand for doing the same thing. You friggin' cow. Gosh. I can't. And this is the thing, right? Halbrand, I don't mind, like, he save yourself. There is logic to it. And so there's logic to Galadriel doing it. But what are you trying to say? You could say that Halbrand is this out for himself guy. Galadriel is the primary character of the show, and you're trying to make her wonderful, heroic. She's on a quest to defeat Sauron to save Middle-earth and all the peoples, yet as soon as her life is on the line versus the others, screw them.
Well, even in her company before, they're like, oh, Captain, we're all struggling around. Shut up.
Yeah, we keep moving. Screw it. This is actually quite consistent how much of a cow she is.
She doesn't care about no one. I haven't seen her care about anyone except for herself and her brother who is dead. Even when Elrond shows up, she calls him an orc. She
treats it
She
like...
hasn't respected a single character with any amount of respect.
I can't believe it. And so anyway, Halbrand's alive. And by the way, the sea monster's just left now. It's like, does it want, that wasn't a big meal?
Maybe it's a bit full.
It's a bit full? Is that what they're saying? It's like,
it's a bit
nom, 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 I'm done now. You guys go. It's like,
you guys can go, you're main cast, it's okay.
It's plot armor.
The raiders told me not to eat you.
Yeah, and then this is the part where she blames him, for abandoning, the other people. And, she says, this is her line, what manner of men would readily abandon his companions to death? It's what you literally did! Yeah, not companions, but still, they're people.
Yeah, you saw the monster and you yeeted out of there. They pushed you off and you were like, alright.
Oh, my goodness. And so, cuts back to the, the Dwarven test of endurance. And yeah, does nothing. Pointless, utterly pointless.
See, my question is this, right? If it's a test for endurance, I feel like it would be more of a test to be carrying those rocks onto the anvils to hit them first.
Yeah.
Then you might need to take shifts and because it takes so long to just pick up that rock, put it there, I feel like it's not a very good test of endurance because it's lots of break points.
But also, right, he technically lost.
Yeah.
They think his hammer breaks and they think it was not his own fault, but no, the hammer breaks because he misses it, and so the hammerhead misses the stone and the shaft hits it and it snaps off at the shaft. If part of the test of endurance is to maintain your aim and focus as you're doing it, he's screwed up, he's lost. But no, they just hand it like, well, this test of endurance doesn't seem to have much logical sense to it.
No.
Because this is the moment, right? I'll wait for it. He goes down, and I'll go, and look, see the shaft? It is the shaft hitting the rock and breaks off. He lost. But no, they wanted to force... So then, it's so bizarre. Like, why have this even in the pointless scene, there is pointless parts in this scene. Why have the hammer break if it's gonna just, concede it anyway?
They give him a new one, and then he goes...
I will concede. He looks at Durin, and they're trying to play it like it's this noble thing. He doesn't want to make Durin look bad, and he's like, I could keep going, but I'm doing this. And right, if that was the purpose, why have the hammer break? Just cut to that as well. Like, you could have had actually Durin puffing a bit more. And look, I wouldn't like he's saying an elf is being a dwarf here, but even if they're pushing there, have Durin puffing a bit, and then have a moment of decision on Elrond, and then he concedes. And so, therefore, this hammer-breaking part, completely pointless. Because they just give him the hammer again. I don't get it. God. So, pointless crap in the pointless crap. Doing great. So he concedes, and is like, would you escort me to the exit? Gladly. And this is where we have the scene that you could have cut straight to him, trying to apologise. Gosh. Oh my goodness. Oh, by the way, at the end of that scene with Galadriel, basically he says, he says, I'm Halbrand, what's our heading? And it's like, oh, gee, you're not suspect at all. It's like suddenly his conceit is just following Galadriel, let her take control, he can do it. It's like, oh, so you clearly, the whole purpose is for you to just get to near Galadriel. If you're, like, you had a purpose, you were trying to go somewhere before, why aren't you trying to go somewhere now? But it's like, what's our heading? It's like, it's so obvious who you are, mate. I'm sorry. Oh, my goodness. And, that line. When Elrond loses, this is the line the dwarf gives. A dog might bark at the moon, but he cannot bring it down.
I have that one too. It's so dumb.
Do dwarves even have dogs?
How often has a dwarf seen the moon?
Exactly.
Or a dog. Another analogy to which I'm just like, this is not fitting for your character or its culture. elves and their aging parents, dwarves and their dogs and moons.
It's again, they want to be intelligent. They want to sound like Tolkien, but they don't have the talent to do it, and they end up writing nonsensical crap like this.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to think of an analogy that a dwarf might come up with that fits in there well. What about the wind might push against the mountain, but will never make it move?
Chat had a good one as well. A chicken can cross the road, but it can't look downwards.
That is
a level!
That's the level that they're writing at. You captured their talent right there. Oh my goodness, it's so bad. It's so bad. And alright, so Elrond says...
No. I was just shocked that this was the conflict. I thought it was going to be something a lot greater. Where Durin's like, no, I'm not seeing you anymore. You're awful elves. I hate elves. And it's like, you didn't come to my wedding. I haven't seen you in 20 years. I get that it's a jerk thing to do, but I was expecting something much
banish
worse.
the entire elven race.
Yeah.
Yes,
I thought they would have abandoned them in the war, like how we've seen in Lord of the Rings, or something major. There was a big conspiracy, or someone died, hurt, something major that would have affected both races. But no, one elf didn't come to his friend's wedding.
Yeah, I completely agree. It still makes Elven look like a crappy friend.
Yeah.
Because what the context is that he didn't come to the wedding, but what's the dwarf's name again? Durin. Yeah. Durin was expecting Elrond to come to the wedding, which means he literally sent an invitation that Elrond did receive, and Elrond snubbed him.
Yeah.
And it also means Elrond hasn't even written a letter to this close friend. Yeah. Not even an update, how's he going?
And to think he could just go there, oh, don't worry, they'll have a welcome party and everything.
Yeah, it's like...
I got an invite last time, so I'm sure that...
Elrond, you moron! Like, you haven't even bothered writing a letter to your close friend for 20 years. And it's not excused by, 20 years is a blink in an eye for an elf. Like, you literally got a invitation. That's set up by context. Durin could only be so pissed if he sent an invitation to Elrond for the wedding. And I agree, doesn't justify banishing the whole elven race, but he has grounds for being pissed off at Elrond for being a truly crappy friend.
Yeah.
Gosh. And then, of course, there's a line, I never dreamed your city would be so changed. It's like, 20 years will do that. I'm like, would it really? If the changes are that extreme.
And I googled it, so dwarves live for about 300 years.
Oh.
So compare that to 20 years as well.
Elrond flat out lies here. Durin says you've come for something, right? You've only and he's totally justified. You didn't even come to see your friend. You come because you want something. His response is, I've journeyed to see my friend who I've greatly missed. No, you didn't. That's complete bullcrap. You lying scumbag. That's literally not the reason you came. If you weren't wanting something, you never would have visited him. And so this scene is just making Elrond look like a two-faced liar.
You're right.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's making me love these characters. And so Durin is actually perfectly justified in thinking his friendship is dead, especially if they were that close, like really close friends.
Best buds, like brothers.
And I have friendly acquaintances I haven't seen in years. If I met them again, would be friendly enough.
Yeah.
But this is like, no, they were close friends, they're basically saying, right?
And again, if you get an invite to something, you'd at least give an RSVP.
Exactly! Yes!
Or he's probably like, oh, sorry you didn't miss, like, you weren't at the wedding, but a child was born. You want to see my child? They're like, Elrond probably has all these letters from him and just doesn't open them or reads them and goes, oh, I'm glad he's doing well. Anyway.
Yeah, I've got speeches to write for the king.
Yeah.
And they didn't even bother to Elrond to try and give, a reason for doing this, like, the king forbade me from going. I had to be out of sight. I would have come and everything. Did you not get my letter I sent you? No, I didn't. Must have got lost in the mail. these eagles, they're just so unreliable.
He gives no excuse. He just takes it and goes, yeah.
Let me apologise. And look, I'm going to try to apologise, but still, mate, it's like...
It's a toxic trait.
And because this universe, this world, it actually has formality, what people say is important, so having an official apology, I could believe that. But then you should have led with that. Everything that happened so far, you can cut, doesn't do a thing, and he could have just said at the door, please let me apologise formally to his wife and everything. And does Elrond think that Durin's wife would be as angry as him? Because that would be kind of like a problem in his plan. What if, he said, Durin's like, she doesn't give a crap. Your apology to her would mean nothing. Piss off.
Yeah, basically.
And what if she was really offended that apologizing to the wife made it worse, and she's like, execute him. He has no. He just knows. They're trying to say Elrond is so wise, he's such a cunning diplomat, he intuited this, and this was his plan all along. It's like bull crap. Like, he just knows magically when this plan, like this apology, is admitting fault and could have gone so much worse. So, Dwarven intro, and I think...
Just the comment as well, he says, one apology to Disa, and you're off. No getting better acquainted, no reminiscing about the past, and absolutely not staying for dinner. Thank you, writers, for letting me know the next 5 minutes of the show. I don't need to watch it anymore because you just told me.
Clearly that's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so bleedingly obvious. And the banishment that he said in front of his people means nothing. It's like, what she was like, I banish you, I can't do this. Like, the only way you could come back from banishment. But it's so, that scene just creates problems that they're just brushing aside. Forget about it. The banishment didn't exist. And they won't address it. I bet they will not address it again.
No, they won't. They've forgotten about it.
They're that careless. Gosh. So, the introduction is fine. I think Disa overplays it a little bit, but she is the least obnoxious character, really, out of everyone so far. She's the most obnoxious cast member by a long shot.
I just feel like marketing, just executed her. Like as in, they just put her to the slaughter out in marketing, where in the show... She's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And so he's saying he's leaving, and this is just basic. People saying it's the best part. No. At most, it's the least incompetent part. It's base level. We are at complete average, middle of the road stuff. And just because it's the least offensive moment in the show doesn't make it good, okay? Like, if the show had this quality of writing throughout, we would say it is very middle of the road bland. There was nothing special about it, okay? And so there's a weird thing where she explains resonating to him, and I'm like, what? He was really close friends with the dwarves, and either resonating is a new technology he just discovered, which doesn't make sense for how old the dwarven civilization is, stuff like that, or Elrond somehow never heard of something really vital and, a crucial part of how the dwarves go digging. So such a close friend, he doesn't know basic information. And, and then they're like, a very happy match indeed. And it's like...
That's so uncomfortable when... Obviously, it was a forced romance, and they're like, and he's just like, I'm not awkward watching this at all.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, that kiss really felt like they did not want to kiss. They're just like, oh my goodness. I like the actor who plays Durin. I'll say that. Anyway, happy match indeed. And then he says you should have been at the wedding, and that's where it's like, okay, Durin must have sent him a letter, and Elrond literally snubbed him. And then he says, Durin says, Elrond is not here for friendship. And that is absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Okay, and then Disa's like, can you not find a way to mend this? And it's being forced and stuff. Okay. And then it shouldn't it not have been like, he's banished. What can I do?
Yeah. I'm just thinking in my situation, if this happened, I think my wife would be like, well, have you heard from him? What was he like? Is he toxic? All right. If he's not going to come to a wedding, not going to respond to your letters, and he's only here for something else other than you, he's probably just going to leave you and repeat it again once he leaves.
Another thing that I've mentioned many times, when what is being said contradicts what's being shown. And so he talks about a sapling he gave to Durin, which is the tree that is being clear, and he says that some thought him a fool that he believed the tree would grow in such darkness. It's not in darkness. There's lots of light on it.
Somehow they're getting light through to farm crops.
I mean, they had the mirrors that are reflecting the light, and so that's like whoever wrote that is, being contradicted by the scene that they're showing. And you could have made a line, something like, some believe that it could not have grown so deep in the earth away from nourishing soil, or something like that. There's things you could describe, but then it's like, hang on, they could easily wheelbarrow in topsoil from the top. It's like, all right, that doesn't make sense either. I mean, if you really wanted to grow a tree underground and you have plenty of light and water, it's probably going to grow.
Yeah.
But that is like, where there is love, it will always grow. Yeah, where there is love, it is never truly dark. But it's not dark. There's plenty of light. Oh my goodness. So there's that scene, and we cut back to Galadriel. Oh.
Yeah, the creepy thing that he said was, you didn't keep your distance. On a tight little raft, doing their own thing, and he's just like, hey, scooching a bit closer. I would have been like, okay.
Yeah, and look, small thing, like, Galadriel has a somewhat transparent robe in this scene, and it's like, this does not fit right with Lord of the Rings. Like,
just very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Again, it feels like they're trying to set up, like, you look at Halbrand, he's the lion eyeing her off, he can see that elven figure, It's like, and then there's that line, what manner of man would so readily abandon his companions to death. Shut up. Shut up. And the thing is, he was right. You did the exact same thing. She's insufferable. Oh, okay. We're getting there. We're getting to the big one, right? But first, Halbrand suddenly just knows something magically. He says you're separated from your ship. You're a deserter, which means you're running. He's like, there's a lot of reasons why she could have been separated from her ship. He just, that means you're a deserter.
Mm.
How does he know that? Now, there might be a reason he knows that, but in the context of this scene, like, Galadriel could have responded, how the hell do you know that? Like, that's a bit of a hint, Galadriel.
Red flags right there.
Oh, my goodness. And so and so she's not responding, like, realistically at all. And then it's like, she says, what have the elves ever done to you? And I'm like, Galadriel, you are aware of the long-term military occupation that the elves have been forcefully imposing on a whole civilization? Do you think that might not be a small reason why some humans might have an issue with an elf? And they're doing it because they think these people are inherently evil in their blood. Like, they say that in the previous episode.
They're bad. Not from their ancestors, but there's still the blood in them to this day.
So she's honestly surprised. Okay. This is the moment where everything, the plot that they set up in the whole episode is broken in a big way. Mm-hmm. So Halbrand says that he was chased away from his homelands, and she wants to know why, and he says it was orcs that chased him from his homelands. Oh boy, massive problem. So orcs have been such a problem that they have chased people from their homelands, chased them so far that they have crossed Middle Earth and ended up on the other end of an ocean. Okay? Which means the orcs have been a problem for ages. Not just they literally said we haven't sighted an orc for years, when there's been such a sighting of orcs that an entire people is just wiped out and they're running away from them. In the area where the elves had a military occupation! And they don't know! So that undermines everything. Galadriel's quest, her getting sent off the Elven King, not believing that the orcs are back, that there's no sign, when there's been so many signs of orcs, and you're telling me these people that were just literally chased away by orcs, travelled across Middle Earth, never told anyone? No. This breaks the show. Oh my goodness! Ah! They literally have a military occupation in the Southlands, and no one's heard of this. Come off it. Come friggin' off it.
It's such an oversight.
It's massive. This is a chasmic plot hole that ruins all the plot that they tried to establish. Like, the show's broken. Fundamentally broken now. We haven't sighted an orc for years, remember, guys? There's no sign, not a single thing. And it undermines the plot with the discount Legolas as well. They're trying to say this is the first sighting of orcs, and they're just coming across like, no, it's not. There's been so many, they've literally chased off an entire people. Gosh. They just kind of forgot about it, guys. I'm speechless. Like, yeah, this show... like, on air... Plot, dialogue, characters, character likability, okay? Character arcs. Justifying relationships. Everything's broken. But it's got pretty visuals. A cinematic masterpiece.
That's the only thing. And I think the only reason why is because it's separate from the story. The writers have no involvement. They can't ruin a lot of the things, really. And that's why I think the only good thing is the visual effects, is because that's the only thing they can't touch. So
Galadriel, the great hunter of orcs and Sauron, she's been doing it for centuries, missed an entire population being attacked by orcs and displaced in the very place where elves had a military occupation to monitor this stuff. It happened long enough ago for the population to move across Middle-earth, tell everyone about it, and no one heard of it.
They missed the memo. They missed the flood of people leaving their homes because of orcs.
All right, we got to move on, but still, I'm speechless. I'm like, come off it written there. It's all in bold because it's like, wow. And then, of course, Galadriel, she's just still condescending. He's like, it will take you a lifetime to even speak the names of those that have been taken from me. Yeah, I get it. She's gone through a lot, but she's so arrogant and condescending about it. She's better than him. And then she tries to command him, you are going to take me to their location. And it's funny, before he said, what's our heading?
Yeah.
So he's like, tell me where to go. Now she tells him where to go, and she's like, no, he's like, no, you... They can't even be consistent with what they're setting up. Because he answers like, I have my own places to go, or something like, you literally said what's our heading, you moron. Okay. And so we come to, after this scene, right? The other, like, this is, it's not as bad as last time, but this is still astronomically stupid, right? Where, lady, she comes back, she tries to warn all these country bumpkins that an entire village has just been wiped out. Like, all the villagers are like, it'll be fine. No reasonable person would ever respond like that. And this isn't like the girl cried wolf or something like that. It's like, to my knowledge, she's a respected person in the village, right? She comes back and says, like, a village was wiped out, and they try and pass it off like it was just a sinkhole. It wasn't just a sinkhole! And even if it was, an entire village falling into a sinkhole, you don't think that's not of note to be concerned about?
And they played off saying, oh, you just want the elves to come back so your boyfriend can look after us. That's what you want, isn't it?
It's like, she's like, easy answer there. But she feels like it sounds like, no, we can look after ourselves. An entire village is wiped out. How about we do something about it? But no, she's like, oh, checkmate, what can I say? And the response is like, the ground has always been itchy there. It's like, you retarded, mate. It's like, and then he says, I've seen landslides less dangerous. Dude, a whole village was destroyed. You incomprehensible moron. It's like, I don't believe, these are not people. These are not realistic people in any way. Okay? It's artificial bullcrap the writers are trying to force. Does not come off reasonably believable anyway, because they just want a reveal where she comes back in like a girl boss and says, I was right.
Yeah.
It's all to force that. And they will just make a mockery of reason and common sense to do it, which makes the whole scene and just the show overall artificial and fake. It is bullcrap. And by the way, it's the Naked Apron Man guy.
I get so uncomfortable just... How much does it cover? Because I never shoot below the chest.
Oh, gosh. And they say, and you come here without proof or pudding. It's really easy just to get that... What? To go check!
Yeah, she ran there. You guys can all run there too.
Oh, my goodness. It's so dumb. And then he calls it a sinkhole. Entire village. Gosh. Anyway, so we're at the kid. Wow, the kid, like, goes nuts at mice. Massively overreacts. It's like, either this kid is really, really unstable. He's done nothing to try and fix it. Oh, by the way, that noise that was made, you have to be a moron to think that's mice. We hear the noise in that scene. It's like...
That wasn't a mouse.
That was not a mouse, you idiot. And surely he's grown up in this hovel. He would have heard mice before. Just compare it. I have mice in my homes. I know what they sound like. I can tell between a mice and a possum on the roof, right? A possum is way louder, and that's a possum, okay? And this sound is like, he's a moron. It's like, that's clearly not a mouse. Then he goes nuts, right? And so either he's like a nutcase, but no, they wanted to force a scary reveal, an eyeball, you know? And like, I get that orcs are not generally not as intelligent, but are they this dumb where they were planning a secret, you know, invasion to dig underneath thing and have this one orc potentially ruin everything by... But they might say he could discover the hole. Okay, let him come down and just kill him when he, you know. But by putting the eye there and freaking him out... Okay. So, it goes to Arendir, Discount Legolas. It's crawling through a tunnel. He freaks out at, like, a sound. So, mate, what did you expect?
I just found it funny. He's like, I'm going to go find something down there. And when he finds it, he goes, ah!
What do I do? What do I do?
Rolls away! This tunnel's too small for combat!
Yeah. And then, like, he gets to, you know, like, he's supposed to be this brave guy. He freaks out. He's like, you're a warrior. You got a weapon, you know.
No.
So, and he was literally warned, like, you don't know what's down there.
That's why I have to go down there.
And then he's like, oh, I should have done this. And he gets to a smaller part, and it's like, whoever dug these tunnels clearly, you know, seems to be smaller than regular people, perhaps. Maybe they're hobbitses. But he doesn't know, right? They could be dwarves, they're smaller. But they're going to have an easier time getting through that. And so, bad choice. Then there's this really weird cut where he's digging, he's trying to get through this thing. So he's in a tunnel. He's in a tunnel. And then, oh, you can see it because it's brighter now. It was so dark... It just looked like him moving further into the tunnel. You could not see him falling into water. I have a nose, like, it literally cuts him just being in water magically because it was so dark I couldn't see. We've pushed the brightness and we see him a splash in water now. It's like, sometimes it's useful to be able to show the audience what's happening. And so, yeah, now he's in thing. Okay. So... It's funny. This is so much brighter. It was like way darker on it because we can actually see what's going on. Okay, and then he gets captured.
Yep.
You know, hands come forward. Oh, spooky hands. Grabs him. He gets what he deserves.
Yep.
What did he expect? So, do you have any comments on that?
On that stuff that just happened? No, not at all. But this coming up. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
So, she arrives at her home. Everything's wrecked. Finds the guy. The boy says, go get help.
Yeah, go get help.
So, what should she do?
Okay. Here's why I said in all caps, okay? So, the son is hiding in the house. Mum walks in, freaks out, son appears. Says, shh, go get help. And then she runs out of the house... Oh, her son's still hiding, and she walks over to him and goes, "Oh, is it all right?" And then she runs off. But she doesn't run off.
No, so what happens is, go get help.
Yeah.
So she runs to the door.
Yeah.
Looks back, and instead of leaving, decides to hide.
Yeah.
Because
as
that's
well.
going to do something.
That's also dumb.
And the context is that your son is hidden, he's relatively safe, there's claw marks on the door, whatever's after him can't get in, and so if this is a dangerous thing, you probably can't do anything, go get help, right? But instead she decides to hide. The orc, comes out and it finds her, and it's making noise everywhere, and they're trying to say, oh no, this little jar full will make a noise that will reveal it. It's like, no, it's logical. If you're smashing things around, you might have knocked something in a cupboard. Yeah. But she's like, and then she stops it, but then it finds it anyway.
Yep.
And so...
I just think it's dumb. I reckon if my kid was hiding and then said, go get out, I'd be like, no, you're coming with me.
Yeah, just grab him out.
Yeah.
You had enough time to just get out
I found the
and
most...
leave. You are absolutely right.
Because she walks up to him, he's right there, and he goes, Mum, get help, close the door.
They could have easily just broken out.
They could have got out. But then you wouldn't have this fight scene.
Exactly.
She wouldn't have had...
the girl boss moment.
Yeah.
And the fight scene is retarded. Oh, gosh. And so the boy, stabs the goblin in the back. Oh, look at this. The goblin, it's an orc, throws the desk, flips up. It's like, holy crap, that thing is strong. You're dead. This thing is insane. Way stronger than a lot of orcs that we've been seeing before. And so she throws a gas, a powder thing at him. No, my eyes.
It's like a candle shop.
Yeah. Takes off his helmet because that would get the thing out of his eyes.
He's an orc, he's not intelligent, that's what the writers would say.
Pulls out little knife. That'll do something. And shouldn't she just yell at him, jump out a window?
Run, get help!
And then she runs and gets help. It's but no, they want, and so he runs up the loft. So why is he going? I guess she has a knife. He might be an easy target, but he just turns her back on her, runs after him, and this thing is crazy strong. Smashes through all those planks with his hands. Growls. She picks up. I don't know what that is. Is this like a scythe of a blade or something?
Something.
It's weird to say, but okay, maybe it's some type of apothecary choppy up thing, but it's big.
It's massive.
So I'm thinking farm equipment blade somewhere. That would usually be kept in the barn then, not in your home. All right, blade, big, convenient weapon object she picks up. Rams we get a. It must be. It looks like a hand scythe almost.
Yeah.
Stabs him in the back. And then he is so strong, he turns, picks her up off her feet with it lodged in his back. She gets no...
How did she... Because if she gets turned around, you wouldn't think that you would then fall back. You
right.
would turn with it.
Yeah, or if that force was so great, it would just push her arms away.
Yeah.
But it's like her arms had... So that is such a fake
wire
work right there that looks utter crap. And then, conveniently... so she just gets smacked, but the handle of that thing gets caught on the stairs. And if this didn't happen, she's dead.
Yeah.
Because he would have just mauled her, ripped her to shreds, so she is so damn lucky. Oh my goodness. And then the boy comes in, and look at this. He just lassos that thing, one shot, right around the neck. Now, I'm not against the fact that there might be a pulley to get heavy things onto the loft. I could go there, but he just easy wrap around, and it only went around one loop. So therefore, if you pull it, it'll just slide out.
Yep.
This isn't a noose.
No.
But it's like he wrapped around several times to the point where he jumps down, and the guy goes, "Yeah, that didn't happen. The rope just went around one little thing." So and he picks him off his feet. And then, conveniently, because they want the drama, the rope snaps. But it shouldn't even be tied to him that solidly. Snaps, he falls back. Oh no, what will happen? What will happen? And now it's I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. Because for some reason, he paused now before, no hesitation, kill him.
Yeah, it's I gotta stumble towards you.
And it's so artificially paced for hollow, bullcrap. And also, he's just standing there because you see what she's doing in the background. His no concern. He'll just stand there. And he even, like, ready? He looks. Like, this whole time, now the orc's doing nothing. And he's going to do that the whole time. And she got another blade thing. Where did she get this? This isn't a knife. It's some type of weird blade thing that's strong enough to chop off its head. Where did that come from? Maybe I could justify one big blade thing, but two big blade things? What?
Nah, it was just that girl power moment. Mother protecting her child.
And it was all just to try and justify this scene. Boom! Look at me, I'm a boss. Oh, it's so crap. Like, you can have these moments, but do it reasonably, justified. But they forced in so much convoluted bullcrap and made so many people act like utter retards just to force this moment right here. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, come with me if you want to live, basically. That's her line. It's, I can't remember, but basically, if anyone wants to live, follow me, is basically what she says. It's crap. And now, sorry, back to Galadriel. Any thoughts, Nathan?
This upcoming scene also has nonsense in it.
It does. Oh, it does. A big one, in fact. So, they're in a storm all of a sudden. And so Galadriel, she ties herself to a thing because they might be thrown off of the raft. It's like, maybe I could see some validity to it. And then, just like, unlucky her, it gets struck by lightning. Lightning! Wait for it. So he's like, hold on to my hand, right? So again, pausing so we don't get things. Lightning! Oh no, where is that? There! Bang! Lightning! He's like, oh, so, should be dead, shrapnel, anything, like. But what's weird, it struck the thing underneath her, lower than her.
Huh.
Lightning hits the highest thing.
Yeah.
It's the reason why it hits trees.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're saying lightning did this, not wind or the thing, it was lightning, that's not how lightning works. It would have hit a higher post and she'd be fried.
Or her.
Yeah, or just...
Because I have seen, this isn't a realistic show, so we shouldn't consider this, but if you're next to a tree the same height as you, apparently you're more conductive, and so you'll get struck by lightning rather than the tree. And so technically, she should have been hit.
Yeah. So... basic little things like that, just common sense, right? It's common. So she got thrown off. Hey Nathan, what was she tied to?
She was tied to or in the next frame was she tied to, or before was she tied to?
Both. She fell off with the mast thing that
she was on a mast. Yeah, but then in the next one isn't
but
it?
What is a mast made out of?
Wood.
Wood. It's made out of wood.
Yeah. So if wood floats.
Wood floats.
Wood floats.
Are you telling me wood floats, Nathan?
Because not only does it change,
even that pulley is made of wood, and there's a little metal thing around it. But this is not an anchor, and she has a really big mast, bit of timber, and they're telling us it's sinking like a stone. Look, don't call me an expert on wood, but I don't think it sinks like this. Look, it's going down like a friggin' rock.
Yeah.
And pulling her down.
Anchor.
And pulling her down with that force. Yeah, that's like a full metal anchor or a boulder to cause that level of downwards force in water.
Yeah, it's a rock. It looks down.
But there's a wooden pulley at the end of the rope with the tiniest bit of metal and a full wooden mast. Don't give me this crap. Have I mentioned how incompetent this show is?
Yeah.
Like, they don't even know basic things of common sense. That wood floats!
And you'd think, because this was all practical they did here, that they would realise that. They'd put the wood on and be like, oh, this is really buoyant. Oh, man, we got the script wrong.
Chat is saying the wood is clearly looking down, guys.
It's not a boat anymore, is it?
Oh my goodness! And she is getting dragged down,
and
really,
she's unconscious.
And
she's not struggling or anything. She's out.
She wasn't hit by the lightning. She should have been, but she wasn't.
Yeah.
And then there's the moment of decision. What will he save or won't he save her? And with the signs, the indications was pretty obvious as to this character's larger story. It's like, yeah, what reason on earth would he have to do this? Holy crap, it's because he just wants to get with her. Really feels like it. And then the rope is gone, by the way. And so the rope clearly fell into the water before he reached for it. And so you're telling me him diving in will be able to swim down faster than that thing. That thing is sinking fast, man. Like, that he could grab onto the rope after it pulled on. And so they're going to show him that, yeah, he's just now, he has, don't give me this friggin' crap. Can't get it off, finds a knife, pulls it off, but what a nonsense, ridiculous, stupid scene.
And also just the fact that when she's in the water, she's unconscious, she's out, she just doesn't do anything. Even when he goes to save her, she's just... And then when she comes out the water, she goes, I'm unconscious now! Which begs the question, okay, if you get unconscious in water, you were swimming for ages before.
Also, like, storms, that water is so chaotic, everything. They were under the water and separated from the raft for a decent while. There is no chance they would come up so close to that thing and they just casually swim back. One of the biggest dangers, even in calm water, is when you fall in, that the natural just flow of the water separates you in calm water that you can't, it's hard to swim back. Yeah. And they always have a tether. And this is an insane storm. And they're like, oh, yeah, easy, swim back to the raft. Like, there's no way to get invested in this show when we're just assailed with relentless stupidity like this.
The one thing with that, though, is that he saved her.
Oh, yeah, he saved her.
A man saved a woman.
To set up, they want to.
That's going to be the only time, I think. that was that
but
one.
The setup to make it like wood sinking like a stone.
Yeah,
and
that's all done. But it's going to be the one excuse, like, nah, there was a strong male character in the show. He saved Galadriel.
Some people have been trying to deflect that Galadriel's not a Mary Sue because, you know, at times
she got saved.
That's not the like one qualification. It's the amount of scale, and clearly there is a scale of Mary Sue-ness, right? Galadriel qualifies to so many Mary Sue characteristics, like insanely so. Yeah. One of the biggest ones is that so many other characters around her are depicted as stupid to present her as being so smart. That is one of the quintessential ways they've done Galadriel in this. It's so relentless and constant. She is a huge Mary Sue. Maybe not as big as others, but she is most definitely a horribly written Mary Sue character. But there's that piece of crap of a scene, and now I come back to Nori coming back. We have to, you know, leave. There's a migration soon, so I guess your dad's foot doesn't matter anymore. Oh, there's the line. Next migration soon, and everything's gone 3 rabbits to the moon.
Nice rhyme.
Like, they're supposed to, like, this is an analogy like everything's gone tits up or something like that. Like, you know, the reason why I say it's crude, but tits up work, it's an analogy of things going turned over, like your plans are being overturned and everything. Like, see how there's a thematic kind of symmetry in the analogy, where you can kind of see how the analogy references the thing they think. That's how they come about. This is like, how does 3 rabbits to the moon indicate, our plans have gone wrong?
Nothing.
And I mean, like, a good example, Brandon Sanderson in Stormlight Archives, he has a character that uses analogies and stuff from another world, and as a result, a lot of people don't understand the context, but you can literally connect the context just briefly, and you would say, I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
And like one character says to another, man, you got so much red on your ears. And the character's like, I've never heard that saying before. But you can easily understand, you know, what that is implying.
Yeah.
Like anger, you know, impatience, all that. And so you can easily come up with simple analogies that reference what you're saying to add emphasis. They can't even do that. No, everything's gone 3 rabbits to the moon. Anything else to say in this scene? There's
a part where a firefly dies and then a half-foot sheds a tear. I don't know.
I have no idea what they're trying to say about the dying fireflies.
I don't. Again, he's got some darkness in him or something.
I don't know. Did he cause them to die? Was it a dark force that caused them to die? It's so much with this discount Gandalf is so confusing. You have no idea what they're saying. He broke the dad's foot. He made fireflies die. It's like, it's just like, it's there's enough to say this guy's pretty evil. Maybe not, going so close to him. And I think it's all for a misdirect. I think they're trying to get people to think that this guy's Sauron if they know nothing about the lore. But again, if that's the case, they're doing it like they're forcing nonsensical bullcrap because it's a misdirect. Oh, we made you think you were Sauron. Okay, then why did the Fireflies die and why did he break our father's foot? Oh, we don't have a reason. We just wanted to make you think he might have been... it's crap writing, man. So... yeah, she finds out, he's trying to look for constellation. You need to find those stars. And then the Fireflies die.
Single tear. I was so confused. It's a bug.
Yeah.
She's just like, oh, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, my firefly left. Trapped in a lantern for weeks. He died from malnourishment.
All right, so this scene, the very end of the scene, is I think the only scene you could say was not awful. And that says so much about the quality of this show, because this isn't a good scene, it's just average, nothing terrible, analogies that you should, for the base level of quality, you should expect. And we have given all these examples of horrible analogies, and finally, there's an analogy that makes sense. This shouldn't be praised. This should be basic quality that people should have been given from the get-go. Exactly. This is not praiseworthy, but the dwarf king says, you've always had sandstone in your granite as far as the elves are concerned. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay? It's like this scene was written by a completely different writer. And I'd almost bet that this actually was. Doesn't make it good. It's just, this is the base level. Analogies that actually make sense. Finally, analogy that makes sense. And then, the king says there can be no trust between hammer and rock. Eventually, one or the other must surely break. It's like, oh, there we go. Another one. Someone else wrote this, clearly. Okay, and then something in a thing, it's going to be mithril. It's pretty obvious.
I'm a bit fed up with them teasing everything.
That's so obvious.
They're teasing Galadriel, what's she going to do? Teasing the dwarves and their secrets, teasing who this magic wizard man is. I get to try and set things up, but it's been 2 hours, and there's been no payoff to a single thing we've been watching.
Yeah, what has really been achieved? We've just seen stuff happen. A lot of it is nonsense, unneeded crap. What was actually achieved? Villagers found out orcs might be back and they're going to run away. Elrond, he proposed something to the dwarves. So much. I needed the test of endurance, the stuff with the family. What did we really learn about the family apart from he has a family? How does that inform the plot? Not much, really. Does it set up character arcs or characterization? And Galadriel, she went swimming and now she's on a raft. And, Numenorians come upon her.
Yeah.
And she's with this guy who they're trying to set her up with. So little was achieved. There's this scene,
He's got the sword. It's got Sauron's mark. Runs off.
Draws out the blood. And is this them saying that, evil in their blood is real? Or is it just drawing off their life source? I don't know. I don't care. There's such,
But again, it's we've had all this dribble for this entire episode. Nothing has happened. And then once something interesting happens, they cut it off.
Yep.
And then next episode...
None of that. We're not going to give you an interesting show. You think we are.
Payoff? Who do you think we are, Marvel? Oh, wait, sorry. No payoff in Marvel either.
And then, they're leaving to the Elven Tower. And then Galadriel's, and of course, just plot armor upon plot armor. She randomly came across a raft, and now she gets saved again, randomly coming across a ship this time, which is obviously from the Numenorians.
Yes.
Crap. Don't give me this. Plot armor, guys. Just saved. That's it. That's it. That's the rings of the power of the rings that have power. Episode 2. What an astounding, legendary dumpster fire.
It will go down in history. I'll give him that.
I'm trying to think, I didn't even have this many notes and problems in the Halo show, and that was unbelievably bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Halo.
if we're just going off the sheer amount of relentless crap that you comment on, if you're just trying to look at it objectively, where are all the problems? This has a higher density, higher amount of bullcrap than nearly any other show I think I've reviewed so far.
Yeah.
Astounding. Truly astounding. So we brought the screen down because
screen's down.
We do have, of course, super chats that we have not forgotten about. We will get to those. Oh my goodness. Wow. How are you going, Shad? We're on the wrap-up thing now, but of course, there's always interesting, fun conversations that come out of Super Chats. And now we can also address what we wanted. I wanted the entire episode 2 review to be together and contained. Some of you might have noticed that we tried to do this review yesterday, but unfortunately had to cut it short. And so we actually did. We tried to, I thought we did it quite subtly. We had that review that we had to end short replay in this one, and we transitioned it to the rest. Did you notice? I mean, like, that was when the screen went white, and that's when we got back to us and we finished it off. But now the episode 2 is fully contained. But we also want to acknowledge the super chats that came through in the last review, and that's what we're going to be also covering now. So you didn't miss out. And look, everything's okay. And if you're wondering what was going on in terms of why we needed to cut it short, it was just a potential urgent matter that did need to be seen, but things are fine. Okay, so... Oh boy, we got a decent amount. Oh, all right. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. So these first super chats are from yesterday, but I think it'll be addressing what we're talking about. So this is from Philip for $5 US. HBO Max just dropped the first episode of House of the Dragon on YouTube. The pettiness is real. No, that is tactics.
That's the old video.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing.
That's episode 1.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you got to scroll.
Oh, wow. Sorry, we addressed that already. I thought we had a lot.
That was a lot for the first one, too.
Okay, here we are. This is from Knight James II for $2 US. Time for a crusade, boys. For the Shadlands! Yes! I need a sword. My love, could you pass me Imperious there? My wife has come to join us. Yes! Crusade time, fellas. We got a sword. Ooh,
the blue looks nice as
I know.
well.
You can actually buy these. These are available on Calamisil. It's the sword from my novel, if you're wondering. My novel, which, if you're also interested, Chronicles of Everfall, Shadow of the Conqueror. You can get it on audiobook, narrated by 2 of the best narrators, but also hardcover, ebook, all that. And there's my novel. And this is the official replica. It's lap safe as well. You can use it lap. Anyway, I'm holding it because, yes, time to crusade. Daniel Todd for $5 US says, hi guys, how are you? Is Oz okay? I've not seen him for a while. So look, Oz is struggling with a couple of things at the moment where we're here to help him and stuff, and don't worry, things are all right at the moment, okay? And love him, gonna try and help him out. But yeah, I think people have noticed that, But he was with us on the last stream, and he had great jokes and things, and so don't worry, things are all right at the moment. Okay. Doverkin for $2 US. Better or worse than Game of Thrones Season 8? I would say worse. I'd say this is worse.
What's worse though? Because
Season 8 is really bad.
People would argue,
and because it subverted such quality.
People would argue that Season 8 was such a build-up to it.
I think that might make Season 8 worse because it was the betrayal.
Yeah.
Everyone knew that. We knew this was going to be crap.
Yeah.
Look, I'm happy to be wrong. I thought House of Dragons was going to be crap, and it's good, and we acknowledge it when it's good, when things are good. All right, we don't let our bias get in the way of that. But this, if it was good, we would have said so. It's not. And not only that, not only is it as bad as we would expect, I'd actually say it goes beyond that. It's worse than it is. I was not expecting a 6 friggin' page discourse on all the issues. It is such condensed, relentless incompetence in this show. Okay, Superstar 333 for $5 US. Long-time fan, recently read your book and absolutely loved it! Thank you, man. Hey, guys, review, there's a recommendation. I didn't pay him. In fact, he's paying me. Even better! He absolutely loved it. Inspired me to get back into writing my own fantasy novels. Keep up the great work. Thank you, man. And also very much, thank you for checking out the book. Skits 3D for $2 US. How would this look as a movie, good or bad? Awesome. This would be one of the worst films ever made.
Yeah. Would not be good.
Aaron Hansen, $5 US. In the fortress, Galadriel said fire wasn't hot because of the evil presence. You think the stranger is evil because the fire around him wasn't hot. You're right. Like, I think they weren't even aware of the connection. They're that oblivious, because they're oblivious to so many connections. Like, just the basic words of what's being said and then what's being shown in the very same moment. If they're unaware of that, yeah, I wouldn't put that they'd be unaware of the connection. Like, they were just trying to make something spooky evil, and then they needed Nori to get close, and they'll make fire not hot. Like, yeah. Okay, land mammal for $5 Canadian. One does not simply swim across the sundering sea back to Middle Earth. Also, thanks, Shad, for owning Lofty the other night. That was a fun debate. It was fun. So, Lofty, I respect that he's willing to discuss the point and everything like that. I thought his arguments and reasons were dog crap, and we had a bit of a debate. And I just had a good time. And that was on the Flashcast, and I think he posts Flashcast the live streams on another channel a couple of days after. And so if you just look up Flashcast, I think you'll find it. I don't think he's reposted it yet, though. If you want to have a laugh at an interesting debate of someone who likes the show, try. And I don't like it as much as you like. Happy that you do, but if you say it's good, okay, that's a more objective statement. Let's talk about the reasons, because I don't think it's not as good. I think it's objective crap, and I'll list the reasons why. Black Sun $5 US says, "Hi Shad, have you ever did a video on using two swords or if it's effective?" I've commented on it tangentially in a number of videos. Haven't done a dedicated one, and I'd like to do a dedicated one on dual wielding. So yeah, I think it'll come out in the future. Sketch Therapy for $5 US says, "We have healers, but we got a healing factors, so we make them artificers equals. We have DRs? Doctors, but we make them work at Snap-on Tools." Who wrote this? I think Nathan's breakdown of that line was just gold.
Those two, I think going into the show, I'm going to criticize everything that they do, because, boy, do they come out with some good stuff between those two characters alone.
Oh, my goodness. Heathen Rohirrim for $2 Australian says, "Thank you for not being Amazon shills. Respect." Absolutely. Like, if it's good, we'll say it, but if it's bad, we won't hold back. This crap needs to be called out. It's happening way too much. And Tolkien is special. Lord of the Rings is special. And needs to be defended. Sarah Gould for $20 US. Amazon is saving an amazing English word from falling into disaster. Drivel. Since Tolkien considered studies of language and literature inseparable, I doubt he'd appreciate them using his work to restore that particular word. Yes. Well said. This is drivel. Yona Trachtman for 30 ILS. Thank you, sir. "Good thing for me, I never intended to watch the show, just your reviews. Infinitely more entertaining. Here, take this donation from the land of Israel. The currency is called a shekel." Well, thank you for your shekels, sir. Land Mammal for $2 Canadian. "Dirty, nasty, garbage bagginses. We hates them." We hates the Rings of Power, most definitely. Carmen Rider KFP for $20 US. "I think you give these hobbits too much credit for their intelligence. They have to be told a wheel is supposed to be round when it is already round after all. Not the brightest candles in the bunch, but still pretty dim. And somehow they have sign language. They know what constellations are.
They know about the elves and the dwarves and the people and the farming and so much."
Oh my goodness. Traveller for $2 US. "Shad needs to read more Tolkien." I do. I fully admit that. I'm not a law expert, but that's what I like. I'm fully, happy to judge this on its own merits. If this was a self-contained show, and I think that's mostly what we've been doing. We haven't been citing this is bad because of law. No, we've been citing this is bad because of crap writing. But thank you for the super chat. 10 Rax Healin for $5. Look, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your names. For $5 US, hey Shad, was watching your House of the Dragon episode 2 with Nerdrotic, loved it, heard something about you and Lofty, I missed something, what happened? I had a debate with a gentleman named Lofty Pixels, and it was a fun debate. I enjoyed it. And so, like I said, Flashcast, look it up, I think he'll repost it sometime. Traveller for $5 US says, the biggest offence to me was Finrod not getting his epic song duel with Sauron. Suggests listening to Clavmavi de Profundis version of it. It's good. Look, from what I've heard, they have done such a massive disservice to Finrod. He was like a Chad, like this epic, awesome guy, and they showed him, I'm so scared, like... And like people say, it's fair to show people afraid in battle.
Yeah.
Maybe. But this is one of the few or only depictions you have of Finrod in battle.
Yeah.
And so the takeaway, the picture that they're painting for Finrod is that he crapped his dax and then
didn't go out like a hero.
Okay. That's the disservice. The way that they depict Finrod in his totality in the show was utterly deplorable based on how much of a Chad that guy was and how much of a boss he was. Finrod, from like the source material, would not have done that, okay? It really felt like they were trying to show him off to be weak, you know? And do you think they would ever depict Galadriel like that? Let's watch the whole season. Let's see if they ever dare depict Galadriel or the lady boss moment, you know, who's into discount Legos. Let's see if they ever show such a level of fear and as well. Makes you think. Okay, so Lady Fossilot for $10 US. Hail Night's Watch! Hail to you, my lady! I'm glad I caught this stream, even if it's a bit late. Thank you for your hard work and your willingness to look into these properties. May your eternal vigilance be rewarded. Well, you have just rewarded us, my lady. Thank you. We do appreciate it. Ospiri for $5 Australian. I find it hilarious that of the 105 pages of the appendices, the second age only took up to half of that, and they paid $250 million.
Wow.
Yep. June Wong for $5 Australian. Swim, Galadriel, swim.
And she's still swimming to this day.
Just keep swimming. Just keep Lady Fossilot, $5 US. At Night's Watch, please rewatch the crash footage and have a look at Poppy during the crash site scene beginning. There is an amusing spot. We might have to take another look at that. Thank you. Elizabeth Taylor for $5 US. Thank you for giving us an honest review, you lovely gents of the Night's Watch. Absolutely. We'll always be as honest as we possibly can. Brian Besnay for $9 US. I was laughing so hard when she spoke, when she poked his face. These characters act exactly the opposite of any logic or reason. The writing is so bad. How could Amazon think anyone intelligent would like this show? Well said. It's worse than I thought. Gosh.
I'm surprised at the polish, but the writing has been atrocious.
Yeah. Zach Fair 117 for $5 US says things are now in motion that cannot be undone. Gandalf being pushed in card. Shane Hitza for $19.99 US. There is no way a saw with this budget and massive amount of source material should be this bad. I'm now convinced Amazon is using this to launder money or something. My tinfoil hat is tingling. Couldn't you? It's not hard to find competent writers. No. Amazon. No, I wouldn't. You made your bed, lie in it. I'm not even coming to help you out now. But gosh, yeah, it's not hard to find good writers. Just find a half competent author and just say, hey, we got a job for you. You know. Oh. Spider for. And who did they get to proofread it?
No one.
My goodness.
No one proofread it.
Spider for $10 US. Thank you for torturing yourselves so we don't have to. I'm glad you appreciate this one. Ebbed onto that. It was hard to get through. Like when I was, 3-4 pages in, and I saw I still had a quarter of the way to go. I had to pause and take a breath. Like, this is rough. This is rough. Super Sparta 333 for $10 US. Longtime fan, and I recently read your book. Absolutely loved it. Another recommendation, guys. Check out my book if you're interested. And it inspired me. Oh, it's another one. Inspired me to get back into writing fantasy novels in much the same way Mistborn inspired me in the first to start writing. Mistborn is brilliant, and man, that's awesome. Awesome. And keep writing, dude. Do it. I love it. Lost History for $5 US said, deep lore. The hammer shown by Celebrimbor breaks the power balance in the show. Canonically, it harnessed the power of the universe, the Silmarils. That's use that to make the
I hope they use that in the future and don't forget about it.
So they have that? Holy crap. Gallifrey Archives donates $1.99 without a comment. Thank you for the donation, sir. Sarah Gould, $5 USD, says, a stone sinks because it looks down. Is that a dig against dwarves? Might be. It very well might be, or they could easily take offense to such a comment. Stephen McCullough for $10 US says, hey Shad, just finished Shadow of the Conqueror, good read, very much enjoyed. However, I have a question as to why anyone would Sunforge, I need to make sure there's no spoilers here, if Darkstone is so common and Sunforge is useless against the Shade. There's a number of reasons. One, it's really useful. Sunforging is still very, very useful. And if it's a weapon, if it's not a weapon, you can usually logically keep it away from Darkstone. And because if you Sunforge a hammer, the slightest knock will smack that nail in. It's like you've got, a modern day kind of nail gun, which works crazy better. And so there's great utility in Sunforging. And so that's what people do, and they're willing to risk it. And Sunforged weapons are insane, okay? And so if they can get away with it, there's a lot of uses. So it's the utility that people still do it. And there's ways to try and avoid the dangers. And of course, just don't put them near shade. And this is part of my stuff about my novel. You get my novel, I'll talk for a while. But nights don't happen very often. And so for the most part, unless someone's trying to be really jerky, they can mitigate the dangers. Gallifrey, but thank you, I'm so happy you love my novel, thank you. Gallifrey Archives for $9.99 US says, if Arendir had been half human and the humans had all been people of colour, which the Haradrim should be, would that fix his character and the depth of his relationship with Bronwyn? No, the relationship is just awful, just flat. Just flat. Like, we weren't judging, if you noticed, we didn't make any judgments on the who they cast thing.
Who they cast, where they come from. It is just the dialogue
on the quality of itself. If this was a self-contained show which had no connection to Tolkien, questions wouldn't be raised about who they cast. Those questions are valid if you're trying to be true to the source material, and they are warning signs. When you see them doing that, you say, oh, they're not prioritizing the story, being true to the story, they're prioritizing an agenda, and that is a very clear indicator that it's usually going to be crap. That's why we complain about it. But when the show comes out, for me, all right, we said this is a bad indication, or it will be indication this will be bad. Now let's judge it on its own merits and see if it is. And guess what? It is. The reality is, this just confirms those kind of concerns people have when they see people pushing, oh, it's so progressive, so progressive. Like, why are you tell us what's good about the show? Turns out there wasn't much good about the show to say in the first place. So Dover Keen for $2 US. Who wins, Galadriel swimming or Gendry rowing? I'd say Galadriel swimming. In terms of who's the biggest bullcrap thing.
Yeah.
Dankworth Balthazar for $20 US says, the first story I ever wrote that wasn't for school was an erotic Warhammer 40k fanfic where the plot was paper-thin excuse for the characters to bang. Not proud of that, but still had better dialogue and consistency than Rings of Power. I would believe you, sir. Rush Pabst for $5 US. Symbology, the study of symbols, symbolism, the use of symbols. A watch of Bundock Saints will reinforce the proper use of the term. Thank you, sir. And I might even use the wrong thing. Symmetry is what I was trying to compare in terms of making an analogy, reference something that's and see, and it has to have good symmetry to be good. I think that's the right way to word it. Traveller for $10 US says, irked me for the most how dirty they did Finrod. Yeah, I agree. The guy got into a badass singing contest with Sauron and then wrestled a werewolf to death with bare hands. Looked into Finrod vs. Sauron by Clavmavi, same guy, Profundis. Check it out, guys. Yeah, Finrod is a Chad. Like, wrestled a werewolf, dudes. Like, yeah, they did him so dirty. Thank you for the super chat. Traveller, again, for $2 US. Shad should read the Silmarillion and review it. I'd like to. I need time. I'm under the pump, guys. Pilgrim Media for $2 US says, I salute you, sirs. Hail from my UK brothers. Well, we're not in the UK, but if you're referring to you in the UK, still hail. Thank you, sir. We're Australians. Skits 3D for $10 US says, thank you for the super chat, says, where were you for the last 20 years? Sob, sob, sob me. Where is your manhood? ? You're not married to him. I'm not sure exactly what that's referencing.
The dwarf and
maybe. Oh, yes, the 20 years. Where were you? Where is my man? I get it now, thank you. Traveller for $10 US says, Elrond is supposed to be the badass warrior, son of Elendil and Elwing, the two half-elves who sailed to Valinor in the First Age to plead for aid in the battling Morgoth. Elendil downed the largest dragon. Yeah, Elrond's supposed to be a Chad, and he's just this diplomat guy. Drim is bad for $10 US. Love your content and your in-depth reviews on your various channels. Thank you. Loved Shadow of the Conqueror. Guys, that's a third recommendation. It might mean my book is half decent. Anyway, Conqueror, and if a sequel or miniseries of it came out, I would be one of the first in line. Stay on watch, and you as well, sir. Thank you very much. Pilgrim Media for $2 US says, I bought a set of the Lord of the Rings hardcovers on eBay in 1969. Chad, legend. Traveller for $2 US says, also Elrond is supposed to marry Galadriel's daughter. Yes, he is, and I haven't seen much sign of her daughter at all. It seems like they pushed them off screen or doesn't exist, so they could ship her and the guy on the boat. Leibniz for $5 US says, hey Shadiversity, which is my other channel if you guys are interested in medieval history and fantasy. I highly recommend the Silmarillion. It's an amazing mythology and will make you love Lord of the Rings even more. Also, where has Oz been lately? We have addressed that in the previous comment. And the Silmarillion, yeah, I would probably love it. I just need the time. So Cameron Alexander for $10 US says, who else finds it weird that the elves and dwarves are seemingly getting along? I thought that actually makes a bit more sense for this age. I didn't know that there were any big, offences that made a divide in them.
Yeah.
But they could have contextualised it way better in the show to explain stuff like this. Ministry of Wrongthink for $19.99 US says, sorry, I know I'm late with this, but if the justification for the people of colours, the half-wits, is Tolkien describing them as being of brown skin, then why are there also white half-wits? They broke the rules to set their own justification. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Drim is bad for $5 US says, what did you all think of the movie RRR? If you haven't seen it, it's well worth a watch and an in-depth in-depth review. I give it a strong 8 out of 10. I've heard really good things of RRR. It's like one of those Indian over-the-top things, but actually has in-depth characterization.
It's on my watch list.
It's like Critical Drinker gave it a good review. And I've heard other good reports as well. Metal from the EFAP crew says it was really good. So it's attracting me more. I've seen it on Netflix and I was like, I might need to give it a watch. Pilgrim Media for $2 US says they are writing pretentious prattle. Completely agree. Tenrex Helen for $5 US. When I watched this episode, I realised that Disa wasn't even the first female dwarf in this show. You see multiple in the endurance test. You do. It's just like, this will be the first female dwarf ever depicted. But she's saying the first female dwarf of color.
Yeah.
And okay, this is the other thing, right? If they're saying there are dwarves of color in Lord of the Rings, why isn't there any other dwarves of color? She's the only one. This really makes it feel like it's a token, appeasement when they're not even going into trying to integrate it into the lore now. It's like Deez is now just standing out as a thought. Like, anyway. Okay, Robert McDonald for $20 US says, sorry guys, but I also received the notification of the last live cast. I'm 2 hours late, starting from the beginning, trying to watch in double speed. Here's a few dollars to help the show along. Thank you, sir. Hope you enjoy it. Dovikin for $5 US says, just learned that there may have been 2 female dwarves in the prologue to The Hobbit in Dale, and they are there for only a moment. Google it for me. Yeah, we've been saying there's female dwarves have been depicted, like, the actress for Deezer literally said this will be the first depiction of female dwarf on any screen. That goes beyond, because guess what? There's female dwarves in Dragon Age. There's female dwarves in film. That's I keep thinking Hobbit. It's Willow. In Willow, they actually are described as dwarves.
Yeah.
In universe dwarves. So yeah, there's female dwarves in that, and of course female dwarves in the Hobbit series. You see them, and so it was a bullcrap marketing spiel, which that's what they thought made the show good. It's the only thing they could sell it on because the show's actual crap. The Field, $5 US says, as a Californian, I assure you that everyone would notice the smoke from a fire large enough to raise a village. And then there's Oz, say something based, please. Unfortunately, Oz isn't here, but if he was, I think he would say something based. But yeah, you're right. Like, even the smoke, the bullcrap would say, it's a sinkhole. That's not a big... Oh, my goodness. Traveller for $10 US says, as someone who has read a ton of Tolkien, I do have to mildly disagree on the displaced people with how big and sparsely populated Middle-earth is. It is totally possible news wouldn't have travelled. I disagree. I'm sorry. One, I think it would have been a big event. And two, remember, this orc attack happened in lands that the elves were actively stationed at and having a military occupation.
Yeah, they would have seen them, heard it, sent word.
Yeah, to me that is indefensible. And do you think these people wouldn't be telling others of what happened? Like, it's a big... Orcs are back! That's a big thing! Holy crap! They would be telling as many people as they can as they're travelling. I mean... So, Lamento... But thank you for the super chat, though. Memento Matsudai for $5 US says, just logged off the Conan server to see you all are alive. Figured I'll do my first super chat. Lol. Thank you, sir. If it's my Conan server, I hope it's working. I can't log on. They need to do a fix on one of the glitches. Skits 3D for $2 US says, Bazoom! Rabbit, to the moon! That's the quality. That is the quality. I'll do a refresher because I think...
We've had quite a few comments since.
Oh, wow. Alrighty. We got it, guys. We got it. Okay, so Aaron Hansen for $5 US says, in the fortress, Galadriel said fire wasn't hot because the evil presence. You'd think the stranger is evil because of fire around it wasn't hot. Yeah, like, they're incompetent. I bet they didn't even connect it. Like, Teutonic Knight 92 for $10 US says, there should not be multiple Durins at the same time, i.e. the king and his son, because yes, like during the fourth and during the third and during the fourth. Each king Durin is a reincarnation of the previous Durin, is it? I did not know that. Yeah, like contradictions in laws and things. Esteban Palomo for $10 US says, wanted to drop in and say hi. Hello, sir. I'm glad you are doing these live streams. I had to buy your book twice because my dog ate the first one, but I liked it so much. Well, looks like the dog liked it as well. I'll count that as 2 recommendations. My book is tasty on top of being something that people are enjoying. Thank you, man. Stained Revenant for $49.99 US. Wow, thank you, sir. Down with Sauron's Lord of the Cringe, the Rings of Fool's Gold. You need some words of encouragement. Remember that courage will now be your best defense against the storm that is at hand. That and such hope as I bring, J.R. Tolkien. Thank you, sir. And the encouragement is very much appreciated. We feel you guys' support, and it's awesome. Justin Levi for $5 US says, can you discuss the elven occupation? All I see is a two-man patrol. Seems neat and orderly to me. Contrast that with the occupation in Braveheart. It's implied that it's over the entire Southlands, and it's also implied that the people are sick of it. They're getting in their face more regularly. So this two-man patrol, by the context of the show, is just one example of what's happening constant all over the place. And there's one watchtower, it's just one amongst many. And this is just an example over one small area in the Southlands that's being reflected everywhere. That is the clear implication. And if they were trying to say it was one, they do not, again, they're so incompetent, they didn't show that at all. They're demonstrating the opposite. Dovakeen for $5 US says, a little off topic, but the intro to House of the Dragon actually represents the Targaryen bloodline from Aegon to Rhaenyra. The dials that flood are dead characters. There we go. No, House of the Dragon, good. Raven's Nest for $1.99 US, thank you for the donation, says, any spiders around? Not this time. Yeah, I know. We'll just double check that.
No, there aren't any. It's winter here, so they're all asleep. If
people are wondering, there's a little video on the channel where someone asked a super chat about spiders, and there was literally a spider on the wall when we looked up. Timing and that. Alexander Smatrala, sorry, pronunciation, for $5 Euro says, is it possible that the orcs started to attack the village only after the war was declared over? Also, if Halbrand is Sauron, he could just be lying. This is the thing, though. The show is trying to hide who Halbrand is. And so judge it on the merits of what they're presenting. And so if they were competent, like as a writer, right, this is the stuff you need to be aware of. And if this was a lie, you'd need to kind of justify the breaking contradiction that is, because you should be aware of it. And also you should be aware, because you don't know who Halbrand is supposed to be, you need to be aware that this is the clear implication of what this means if Halbrand is just a random guy that the scene and the episode is trying to establish. It breaks everything. And so you do not want to break your entire plot before you try and say, he was just like, no. That is horrible writing. They're completely oblivious to what they just did there. And because I do get maybe, but then why? Yeah, that's the question. Why on earth would he say that? To try and get Galadriel to follow him or something like that? There are other reasons, But instead they went with what if he just said, like, I've heard rumors of orcs somewhere, I could show you.
Yeah.
Doesn't break the law. There we go. Done. But yeah. So, look, I appreciate you thinking about other possibilities. I keep thinking about it and it just breaks. Everything breaks. Dread X Legion XO5 for $10 US says, thank you both so much for saving me precious hours of my life from watching this crappy show. Will definitely sub to with nice watch and Shadiversity. You both rock. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Chris Kelling for $20 US says, let me get this right. Rings of Power has a Sir Robin bravely running away. Does he have minstrels too? bravely Galadriel some away. She was not afraid to be killed in nasty ways. Love it, thank you. Super Pot Roast for $3 US says 60 million doesn't buy what it used to. No, it does not.
It does not at all.
It could have. It could have. Drim is bad. For $5 US says, Imperius looks so awesome, thank you, sir. I would buy that right after the Master Sword. Sorry, a massive Zelda fan. I definitely understand that. Got to go with the Blade of Evil's Bane first. Do it. Ministry of Wrong Thing for $4.99. Just realised Rocks and Wood stole their buoyancy from the Bible where... Sorry, Rocks and Wood stole their buoyancy from the Bible where Peter sank in the water where he walked on after looking down. Yes, Peter the Rock. I get the reference. Okay, Gallifrey Archives for $9.99 US says, first time catching a live stream. So glad you joined us. How do I convince my lady wife I need an Imperius replica for my birthday? Get her to read the book. That might convince her.
Or you look into her eyes and say, How much do you love me?
I love your work, Sir Shad. Glory to you and your house. And to you, sir. Thank you. Daniel Todd for $5 US. How is the Shadlands coming? Any book series you would recommend? So the Shadlands, we're doing fun stuff on there. And look, it's a slow burn, and it'll still be a while before we get to do the big castles. But in the meantime, we're going to have fun. We're going to work on little things here and there, and also just have fun projects. A book series I could recommend. Yeah, I mean, like lots of stuff by Brandon Sanderson. I've got lots of stuff here. Wheel of Time, the book series, definitely recommend. I love The Name of the Wind, which is the Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss. There's a lot of good stuff. Try out those if you haven't. Strawman for $5. Oh, sorry, there's a Paul P for $14.99 Australian. He donates that with no comment. Thank you, sir. We appreciate the donation. Strawman for $5 Australian says, you just don't like it because of the lack of Lucky Charms. How did you know? Literature Devil, dude, how are you, mate? For $2 US. Shadow of the Conqueror was impressive. Dude, thank you, man. And hey, so Literature Devil is a YouTuber. Check him out. He makes great kind of video essays in review and stuff like that. And so he's coming out with a bit more of an informed perspective as a critic, as a reviewer. And so, man, your recommendation means a lot. Thank you. He says, my book was impressive. gives me happy feelings. Thanks, man. Carl Adden for $49.99 US. Thank you, man. Says, Shad, please keep up the good work. And I had to force myself to stay awake when I watched the episodes. Also, just finished Shadow of the Conqueror. Your book was absolutely beautiful. Recommendations coming in.
So much love.
I love it. But what I love is, like, I'm not paying, well, they're kind of paying, and these are honest recommendations for cheap people checking it out. So if you do want a book, there's a bit of a content warning. I don't shy away from, I guess, shocking things. There is an impaling, all right? But I wrote it to be the best book I could write, and people have really been really enjoying it. All right, we need to refresh the super chats again.
Yes, because a few more have come through since.
Awesome. You guys are legends. Thank you. Okay, so Skits 3D for $2. Okay, I bought your book. Thank you. Legend, really appreciate it. And so remember, like, audiobook is such one of the best ways I feel to enjoy my novel. And two of the best narrators. So when I say Michael Kramer and Kate Redding, like, if I was making a film, that's like saying you got, I don't know, Robert Downey Jr. on the film, because they're some of the best narrators. They narrated Wheel of Time, the official Wheel of Time audiobook narration, by Michael Kramer and Kate Redding, and they also narrate Mistborn, Stormlight Archives. They're brilliant. And the audiobook, I really love the audiobook, so try that out if you guys are interested. Traveller for $5 US says, the Silmarillion reads much like the Bible. I think you'll like it. I find a lot of deeper messaging about Tolkien's ideology and worldview. Good night, and good night to you. Look, the Silmarillion, I've heard quotes from it, and I know decent. I know about the lore and things and everything. It sounds like epic as. Scotsman Farms for $4.99 US. Big fan. Thanks, but I miss Oz. And we understand as well. Hope he's doing all right. We're there to try and help him out. And thank you for the super chat. Heresy Art for $15 US says, if I may, I'd like to plug my webcomic, Lancer, the Knights of Fenris. It's like Star Fox with a medieval twist, space knights and space battles in the animal kingdom. Go check it out. It is Lancer, the Knights of Fenris, if you guys are interested. And thank you for the super chat. Taker610 for $10 US says, come on, you guys, you have never swam from Sydney to Auckland in an afternoon? ? I know, we're just being unreasonable with that.
Only if it was that simple.
Galadriel was able to stay alive through anger like Darth Maul. Did you like the part where her eye twitched?
Was that the first one?
I know, it's like, conflicted. It's epic, amazing. Such awesomenesses. I'll quickly refresh them, see what we're up to. We're pretty close though. Yes, Scottman Farms, $4.99. how's your next book coming along? Can't wait. Shout it out. Look, it's going slow. I'm so swamped. I'm just finding time to write. I really want to finish it off. Look, it's there. I've written. I'm over halfway, or just on halfway. Need to find a better balance to finish it off. That's where I'm at with that at the moment, unfortunately. Drim's Bad for $5 US says, heard you read my super chat and I thought it was funny how you pronounced it's DRM is bad. DRM? I don't know. Sorry.
DRM is bad.
Is that DRM is bad? Okay, thank you. DRM is bad. Thank you for the super chat, mate. And we're kind of...
there was just one more.
Just one more, yeah. Let me bring up
no, so,
a couple.
Of course, whenever we say we're done, a few of you are like, nah.
Well, we'll do it again. Hey, we love you guys. Thank you for it. I'll bring up the super chats again. I'll even pop out the chat because I could catch them in real time now. And so, Drakage for $10 says, please review 2003 Ang Lee's Hulk movie. Maybe. We like to review current stuff, especially because it's in the social kind of prominence.
Trending space, yeah.
Yep. Maybe. Thank you for the super chat, though. And Carl Aden for $49.99. Thank you, man. Honestly, dude, I was constantly torn between whether to side with Dalen or shame him. This is the main character for my book. He's a character that is meant to challenge the audience. My intention for Dalen was to push him as far as I could to the line to make people be like, to either like him or hate him and conflicted about him. That was the purpose. And when I hear people like respond that it was hard for them to decide, I love that, 'cause that's exactly what I was going for. And so I get that, like, I did it knowing that there will be people that he's irredeemable for them. They can't get into him. But I did it intentionally. So it means a lot to hear that you had that response. Also, Shad and Nate, who are your favourite characters of Shadow of the Conqueror? Shad, I realise you probably won't choose, but which was the most fun to write?
I like Cusack.
Cusack ends up being a lot of people's favourites. Yeah. I was worried people would hate Cusack.
Yeah. I think those characters like the Jar Jar characters, very fine line, but somehow you managed to...
Maybe because I wasn't intending to be him to be a Jar Jar character. Like, he was a genuine character who had very, like...
For me, I think what I liked about him was that he was a character who was not... Like he was out of place in the world, so he was confused and conflicted. And as someone watching, like as a viewer or reader or whatever, I felt I could relate to him because I'm like, I don't know about this world either. And then also he had some funny lines, and Unity is always funny, and he likes food.
To me, it's so hard to pick. I mean, of course, I reckon Dalen is probably going to be the top. In terms of the joy to write, the whole book was so much fun to write. My intention was to get such a deep understanding of the characters that it would almost write itself. That I have a situation that they're put into, and then because I know the characters, I know how they'll respond, and I just need to write out how they would naturally act in the given situation. And it led me to some interesting places at times, things that I didn't... And that's why it was so fun, because when I am led naturally to an interesting conclusion that even I wasn't predicting or expecting, but is what the characters would naturally do, I was like, it's a blast. It was a blast. Thank you for the super chat, though. It means a lot. Psychalicious Craze for $5 says that Naglamir, I think that's a Lord of the Ringsy word, caused a great rift between dwarves and elves. This duel was a Silmaril. It's killed a lot of people. Read the book and you'll get it. When did that happen, though, is my question. Thank you for the super chat, though. The Field, boo, short man bad, also liked your book. Hey. It's in my rotation of audiobooks that I repeatedly listen to.
Wow.
That means a lot. It really means a lot. Thank you, man. Dutch of Solaris for $9.99, thank you, says, I think I'd enjoy the show as bad as it's written if they dropped all the pretense of canon and existing characters and just had fun with the made-up ones. And to be honest, I like the score. I didn't notice the music, and as a result, I didn't think that's great music.
It wasn't iconic.
Yeah, but I didn't also notice the music thinking that's horrible music, like it's one of the trailers. And to me, I can't do that. I'm glad you're able to, but they take themselves so seriously that they're like, we're so epic, we're so wise, this light dialogue, and it's such crap. I can't even sit back and enjoy it as a guilty pleasure because it's like being lectured to. And we are all up to date on the super chats. Whew. Oh boy.
Good run there, Shad.
Rings of the power of rings that have power in the power of the rings is utter crap so far. But guess what? Episode 3 is coming on! No! You know my reaction to that? It's Nora's reaction when the discount counter goes like, this is painful stuff. We'll do it. We'll do it for you. And look, we can have fun along the way just laughing at the pain. Suffering, but sometimes you just got to laugh at it. Oh, there's another super chat. Cal Aiden for 1999 says, GN, which I believe means good night. Good night to you, sir. But yes, episode 3 coming out. We're going to try and do the live stream as soon as it releases. We're going to try and review it. It might be a late live stream as a result, but we just want to get it out there. She-Hulk. I think that's tomorrow night for me. It's late, and because She-Hulk would take Rings of the Power is taking She-Hulk's spot to get She-Hulk out. So Nathan will be knocking off at 5, and I won't force him to do overtime, but She-Hulk comes out at 5. And so that's why it's just me and my wife. We will review it, edit, and release it all that night after knockoff time.
Thank goodness. Like, I missed the last one, and I'm glad.
Oh, and guys, we have new merch out. Official Night's Watch merch on Teespring. Link in the description. There is a Stay on Watch shirt, and there's other merchy goodness stuff. We might have to get some and try. Oh, there was a super chat for Geordie Schulz for $2.79 Canadian. Thank you. May the bird of paradise fly upon your nose. Interesting.
Fly up your nose.
Fly up your nose, bird. That sounds like an analogy that would have the rings of power would have used. Oh, there's another one. Briggs for $4.99. Keep the videos up. Keep writing books, and hope Oz is able to fight whatever dragon he is fighting. Much love for the whole team. Thank you, sir. Or Briggs, yes. Thank you. Appreciate the super chat. And guys, once again, merch. Check out the merch. I believe we have the Teespring store linked in the description already, yes. But usually it's my Chainmail thing. We've got more stuff other than Chainmail. A Stay on Watch shirt I particularly like. Go check it out. And we are needing to wrapping up this stream. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. We've loved it. We've loved chatting with you guys, hanging out, and also ripping this atrocious piece of crap a new one, because, oh boy, it's bad. Oh boy. But we got another episode out, and we will keep going forward because, as always, stay on watch. And